Seeing a quorum of voting members, I call the December 8th Cincinnati School Board meeting to order. Treasurer Guston. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're going to do, first of all, we apologize for being late coming out of exec session, so please accept our apologies. Superintendent Murphy, please introduce our wonderful students who will be virtually leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Happy to introduce the students from Mount Washington School, where Miss Maureen Brenner is their principal.
Mount Washington students, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That is by far the best part of the meeting. Treasurer Guston, please call the attendance roll.
Mr. Craig.
Here.
Mr. Crossett. Here. Mr. Lindy.
Here.
Ms. Mapp.
Here.
Mrs. Weinberg.
Here. She's here twice.
Vice President Bolton.
Present.
President Moffett.
Here. Vice President Bolton, please explain the virtual hearing of the public process.
Gladly. Members of the public who are online and wish to speak during our hearing of the public this evening may do so by clicking the chat button now. The chat feature will be open for your requests for 5 minutes. If you would like a direct response to your questions, please make sure to share your name, your affiliation to the district, your school community, your topic, and your contact information. Thank you.
I need a motion and a second to approve the December 8th business meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Treasurer Guston.
Mr. Craig.
Yes.
Mr. Crossett.
Yes.
Mr. Lindy.
Yes.
Ms. Mapp.
Yes.
Mrs. Weinberg.
Yes.
Vice President Bolton.
Yes.
President Moffett.
Yes. Tonight's agenda is approved as posted. We're going to start. Do board members have any acknowledgements or announcements? After you come off mic. Go ahead. Board Member Weinberg.
All right, so I'm going to kind of start it off a little bit here. For those of you who are here today or whether online, this is my last board meeting. It's kind of, a little sad.
We're not doing your presentation right now. You're not.
Well, hold on. I have a presentation. I have a video I'd like to show. Can I not do that right now?
Okay, so Board Member Weinberg, no. Wait till we get to you. Your section.
Okay.
I promise you, we got you covered. Do any other board
we're gonna come
members
back.
have acknowledgements or announcements? We got you. Just bear with me one last time.
Let me turn my mic off.
Thank you. Board Member Lindy.
I'm very interested in hearing from Mrs. Weinberg, but I'll just say I had a really nice opportunity to visit Withrow High School on Friday. And I want to say how much I appreciated what the teachers and the staff are doing there. And in particular, I saw a wonderful class that was helping students earn the points that they needed in CTE to earn their graduation seal. And it was just, it was very clear from being there how proud the teacher was of her students, how hard they were working. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Withrow team for all of your hard work. And it was a great visit. Thank you.
Okay, Rob, I have a couple of non-board member Weinberg announcements. I want to say that our district received the PRSA Blacksmith Award for excellence in community relations. I was notified by Regina Carswell, who is right now, and she shared that the district won for their engagement sessions and their coverage of Cincinnati Public Schools for enrollment and community engagement. So congratulations to the district and our communications team for that. Is there one more, Rob? Do I have another one? I do want to say that our AWL principal is receiving the CAIR Ohio Award for Spirit in Humanity. And she will be receiving that on Sunday, and congratulations to Principal Rowetter. All right. Superintendent Murphy, do you have any announcements or retirements?
I have two staff members, President Moffitt, that we want to celebrate their retirement. The first is certificated staff member Nancy Sewer. Nancy is an occupational therapist at the Academy of Multi-Immersion Studies. And then our second employee is a non-certificated, a civil service employee, Mr. Charles Beckett. And Mr. Beckett is a truck driver in our facilities department. Congratulations. And then, Dr. Moffitt, my only other kudos, because I wanted to make sure it was special, I will lean to your direction to do a presentation to Board Member Weinberg.
Well, at this time, we would like to honor and express our gratitude to one of our wonderful board members who is leaving us, Board Member Mary Weinberg. Mrs. Weinberg, please invite any family members that are here for the evening to the podium.
Family members and friends, come on down. Dun, dun, dun. So my children don't like to be put on the spot, but I truly appreciate them for coming down. With bells on and smiling, right? Oh, Shanice, you're not coming up? Okay. Crystal, Vice Mayor, council members, Scotty. Yeah, I'm gonna call people out.
Just read 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or does everybody have it?
Where would you like them?
Where would you like to be? This is she's normally very bossy, so it's awfully interesting that now she's not bossy.
Do you want me to come out? I'll come out. We'll come up. It's kind of like deja vu.
Okay, board members, let's go around.
All right, so we have a resolution recognizing Board Member Mary Weinberg. Whereas in November 2021, Mary Weinberg was elected to the Board of Education, serving a total of 4 years from 2022 to 2025. And whereas Mrs. Weinberg is a parent of 2 CPS students, which together with her 11 years as a teacher with CPS, enable her to be an instrumental part in education and fulfill her responsibilities of a board member. And
Whereas during Mary's term, she served as Vice President of the Board of Education in 2024, and whereas in 2022, 2023, and 2024, Mrs. Weinberg served on the Health and Safety Committee, chairing the committee in 2022 and 2023, whose overarching goal was to provide oversight on the personal well-being of all students in the district. And
Now show me where I'm picking up, right here. And we already have the and, so now we're at whereas. Mary also served on the Student Achievement and District Instructional Performance Committee in 2022 and the Policy and Equity Committee in 2025. And, read two? Am I excited? Whereas Mrs. Weinberg was appointed by the Ohio School Boards Association to represent CPS as the Student Achievement Liaison in 2024 to the Black Caucus 2024 and 2025, and
Whereas Mary's skills were recognized by her appointments to the Ohio High School Athletic Association's School Board Liaison for 2023, 2024, and 2025, and to the activities beyond the classroom 2024. And whereas the children of Cincinnati Public Schools are the recipients of Mary Weinberg's passion for children, commitment to community service, and dedication to quality education for all children. Gotcha. Come forward.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Cincinnati Board of Education expresses in deep appreciation to Mary Weinberg for her invaluable contributions to the education of the children of Cincinnati, and
Be it finally resolved that the Cincinnati Board of Education extends to Mary Weinberg, my friend, warm wishes for continued good health, happiness, and success in her future endeavors. We love you.
Am I getting this mic? So I'm going to speak, and I want to first say thank you. I had to write down a lot of this, so let me grab my paper. I'm going to have you all hold this for me, please. Thank you. I'm going to take all day. Are you ready for this? All right. So first of all, I'm just going to say good evening, CPS district, family, students, staff, and community members. I'm actually standing here now. I was planning on sitting and saying all of this, but standing here tonight feels like coming into a full circle. On January the 3rd, 2021, which was also on my birthday, I stood on this very stage thinking that I was going to go celebrate at my birthday celebration, not realizing that we were going to have a very, very long meeting. But I was supported by some of the same people that are here on stage, by my family and my friends. I was newly sworn in, full of hope. I had just stepped down from being a CPS teacher for 10 years in this district and now ready to serve in a different capacity. And now, December of 2025, I stand here with a full heart, deep gratitude, and the same commitment that I started with, to always be here for our kids and for the district. I said I wasn't gonna cry, but I think I am. I wanna first extend my sincere gratitude to my colleagues, all 6 of you. And we've had some times, some good times and some bad times, right? But those are all good times. See, a board doesn't have people on it that say yes to everything and agree all the time. It is purposely made to have diverse individuals with different opinions, likes, and interests. To our board president and to our board vice president, thank you for your leadership, your guidance, your steady hands through both the calm and the storm. And to each of my fellow board members, it has been an honor to serve alongside you. We have agreed, disagreed, debated, but ultimately we've come together to work together for the students of Cincinnati Public Schools. Bye, Brooklyn. My daughter is going to Bible study, so I guess that is a good excuse for her to be able to leave. To our incredible board office team, Ms. Phyllis and Ms. Pat, thank you so much for keeping us organized, informed, and on track. You are the quiet engines and behind the scenes. And also thank you to Mr. DeAndre as well. To Superintendent Murphy, and to also Deputy Superintendent Dr. Smith, to all of our assistant superintendents out there as well, who make up our senior leadership team. I want to thank you all for your vision. Thank you so much. Thank you for your resilience and your relentless focus on all of our students and staff. To our chiefs out there of information, marketing, operations, and to all of our staff members from our CPS organizational chart, and all of our staff members that I haven't mentioned that work here in this building. Thank you for your expertise and dedication. Thank you for being you. The impact is seen and felt in every building across this district. To Treasurer Gustin, Chief Audit Executive Lauren, I could not pronounce your last name. Say it loudly. Where's she? She's not here. Okay. I shortened it there. And General Counsel Hoying, thank you for guarding, the integrity, the finances, and the legal well-being of this district. Thank you to all of our unions and also our community advocates as well. The work you do provides a foundation we can stand on with confidence. And thank you, Rob, for always being so helpful and being such a pleasant person. Thank you, everyone, for your support and your partnership. It has meant more than you ever know. So when I ran for this seat on the board, I promised to focus on transparent and effective communication with our students, our families, our staff, and our community. I promised to ask the hard questions, especially around curriculum, to ensure that we put in front of our students things that are intentional, rigorous, and equitable. I promised to be a voice and an advocate for those who needed one, and I'm proud to say that I stayed true to who I am and to what I ran on. In my first 3 months in office, I visited all 66 CPS schools with my colleague, walking the halls, seeing our students learning, greeting our staff, witnessing the creativity and care in each of the buildings. It opened my eyes to the depth of what CPS truly offers. As a CPS graduate myself, and as a parent of 2 CPS students, those visits made me even more proud of this district. In my term, I was able to serve as the vice president for 1 year. I also served as the OHSBA committee member, served as the chair for health and safety, and gave valuable insights and ideas into the policy committee. So I know we still have a lot of work to do. We're growing, stretching, and moving in the right direction. There's going to be more challenges to address, more systems to improve, and more innovation needed for the betterment of our students. But I'm gonna leave this seat knowing that this district is in good hands. And we have the person who's replacing me in the crowd. Wave your hand. Not only do we have a hand of dedicated leaders, committed staff, but a community that is always going to show up. And I promise I'm almost done. Oh, you want me to take my time? Okay. Thank you to the voters who trusted me 4 years ago, and thank you to the voters who have now elected a new board that will begin in January. Please, I ask for you all to continue to support them, to challenge them, and to walk with them. A huge, huge thank you to my wonderful family, my husband and my 2 daughters, for being flexible and understanding that when I would text them and I would tell her that I couldn't lay with her before as she was going to bed, and saying, well, Mom will check on you once I'm home from this long, long board meeting. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for understanding my time commitment and just being true supporters. I love you both. I love you. And I want to also say thank you to my friends who have rocked with me from the beginning. You all are here on stage, and you provided some type of support to me throughout the last 4 years. And for those of you watching at home, I want to say that I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. Thank you so much. So, this is where it gets good. As my term comes to a close, it's not a goodbye, it isn't a farewell, but it is a see you soon. I love this district, I love our students, I love our staff, our families, and I love the communities. Thank you for allowing me to bring my personality, my empathy, my laughter, my smile, my walk, my diverse thinking, and my board member Weinberg style into this role. No one else can do it like me. So I do have a video that I'd like to show throughout the time. It's very short, it's actually a highlight. And I will allow you all to go back to your seats because I want you to be able to sit, yes, and be able to watch this. Oh, I can't take all of this, okay. I'm gonna have you hold this for a second. Yes. Thank you guys so much. Can you put this over there on my lovely desk for me? Area. Oh, wow. Thank you. And so I wanted to share a little bit of put this over there for me too, a highlight video of my time. Oh, do you want me to open it now? Okay, well, yeah. And I wanted to show the video just to show kind of what I got to experience as I visited our different schools. And I want you all to know that we have some great things going on within this district. And what is inside this? Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Oh. Board Member Mary Weinberg, the best preparation for tomorrow is to do today's work supremely well. Congratulations on your service to Cincinnati Public Schools. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, Rob, you can play my video, and hopefully everybody enjoys it. Thank you all so much.
So I know we've got two city council members here to speak. Would you all like to? You don't have to, certainly. Vice Mayor? You can go right there. And we're not gonna do the 2 minutes, but you got 2 minutes.
Hello, everybody. I'm really honored to be here to honor our friend Mary Weinberg. You know, the first time I saw Mary was when I was on the track at Walnut Hills High School with my daughter, and I think we were headed up to the bleachers. I don't think there was a football game, but something was going on. And we saw like all these students like screaming and hollering, gathering around this person. And I said, who is that? And they said, she's a gold medalist. She graduated from Walnut Hills High School. That's Mary Weinberg. I'm like, oh my goodness. I grabbed my daughter. We took all kinds of pictures with her. And then several years later, you were a keynote speaker for a program that the Cincinnati Herald gave, and you were just amazing. I was so impressed. And I still hadn't really met you before that. A friend, it was Morgan Owens, said, do you want me to get my friend, a gold medalist, to be the keynote speaker? I'm like, you know her? I mean, I was just like, you're a star to me. I was just, so in awe, and I still am. And then we all ran together in 2021, and I got to know you and just love you so much. You, Kareem, Brandon, all of you are so much fun to be with and to be out there on the campaign trail. We had a really good time, and I think it's made a big difference, the fact that CPS and the city of Cincinnati can work together, collaborate. I don't think that's really happened that well before, but the fact that we're all friends, I think just really, makes us rock together. But let me say, you and Kareem were everywhere. And I said, are they on council or CPS? Because every event, like Scotty and I would show up, and like all our colleagues, and you all would be there. You guys went everywhere. You're just a hard worker. You really love our children, our students, the staff, all the teachers. I mean, you have just been just a role model of what a board member should be, really involved. You don't just show up for the meetings, you're there around the clock all the time. So I just want to thank you for all you've done for our children, for the Cincinnati Public Schools, for our city. We're so proud of you and love you and can't wait to see what your next move is going to be. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
I'll just be brief. Did y'all race when you saw her on the track? No, I know y'all didn't. But listen, I just want to say congratulations, Mary. You are right. You're an original, and you said you do it your way. And I think authenticity is something that is missing in leadership across this country. We have to show up authentic and committed. You've proven that. You've shown that in all the endeavors that you've taken on. I just want to say congratulations, my sister, and Godspeed in your next endeavors. And I know that you'll rock it the way Mary, the only way Mary can rock it. So congratulations and keep up the amazing work.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the both of you for being here. Thank you. Are you calling Shanice down? No. Are you sure about that? Okay. Thank you for being here.
Board members, do you all have anything to add, share? Board member Lundy.
Oh, gosh, I thought I was getting out of it.
Yeah, I can go. No, I would put some thought into what I wanted to share tonight, Mrs. Weinberg, and I think there have been plenty of times where we have disagreed about things, and plenty of times we have agreed on them. But on reflection, the thing I'm going to miss most about working with you, and that I have appreciated the most, is really not hard to figure out at all. I think among various colleagues I've worked with on this board, I so appreciate your bar for how young people deserve to be treated and spoken to and spoken about. And time again, that's been something that you have raised, oftentimes when other people weren't. And I admire that about you, and I will miss working with you. So I want to say thank you. And I have some other things here, but that's the most important one. And I wish you best wishes on your next chapter.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm a little out of order. So we had a resolution that we read, and I need a motion to approve that resolution in a second. And then we can have discussion, right? Or do we do it?
Second.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Board member Matt.
So yes, I just want to congratulate you and just thank you for your years of service on CPS's board. It has been a pleasure working with you. Yes, we have agreed and disagreed, but all in sisterly love. And I really just appreciate just the depth of knowledge, especially that you would bring around health and safety when working with our students. So working on that committee together, as well as the policy committee, we have done some really good work together, heavy lifts, and I just thank you for being present at each moment. And yes, showing up like only Mary can, all right? And Mary will always show up giving anyone a hug, so thank you when those days were heavy for being present in that way.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Board member Craig.
So I will also keep it nice and short since we have spent a lot of time here dedicated to this. But I will say it was a blast 4 years ago when we were running for office and having to hit every event and do everything in the wonderful world of COVID, where we were staying socially distanced from folks and then also trying to get them to take whatever we had in our hands. But I think the thing that is always going to be true is that you have been dedicated to CPS. Before you got on this board, you'll be dedicated to CPS many years after you've left this board. And that's something that is solely been your goal since you dedicate yourself to teaching, since you dedicated yourself to achieving. And so I wish you all the best as you go forward. I will say, Chris is just still a phone call away because I still have his number. So anytime future golf opportunities come up, he will get text. So just letting him know. But we will miss having you here in board meetings and bringing the flair as only Mary can. Although I'm sure we will still be invited to many events where you will be, and invited to many activity where you will be. So congratulations and wishing you the best.
Thank you.
Vice President Bolton.
Thank you very much. I am reflecting on the first conversation that I had with you, and I think we were at Hyde Park and talking and whatever about this good stuff, and it was very telling because Mary was talking about her theme for her campaign, and her theme for her campaign was world class, that our children deserve a world-class education. And of course, an Olympian can say world-class and mean it. And that's very, not only authentic, but true. And I appreciated that. I particularly want to also say that virtually everybody at the Ohio School Boards Association, when they heard that we had an Olympian on our school board, the issue was, when will she be coming to this particular committee? Can you make sure she gets assigned to our committee? Because they all wanted to be with you. Obviously a world-class star, mom and board member, athlete and teacher, and CPS devotee. I particularly enjoyed serving in these two center seats with you, a very tumultuous and changing year. And I think we weathered through it in part because of your ability to bridge whatever gaps those occasional factions show up on our board. And it's deeply appreciated, your grace and your intelligence. And you should not be leaving us, but we do have someone ready to take that seat. And we are very pleased that you are about to do even greater and bigger things. Much love.
Thank you.
Board Member Crossett.
Thank you, Mary. You've been an excellent board member, and it's been great to serve with you. And I'm remembering the first event that I attended after I joined the board, and you were dragging me around. You kept saying, you got to be in the photograph. You got to get in this photograph. So you set the tone for me and for all of us. So thank you for all your efforts and a great job. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Do either of you want to say anything before I go? Okay, I'll go. So Board Member Weinberg, when you told me that you weren't running, I felt like I had been hit by a semi-truck. Because we had been known as the Wonder Twins for the first 4 months of us running, and I felt like my twin was gone. And it was just really, it's like I felt like a piece of me was not going to be around. And over time, I'd heard of Mary Weinberg, but never met a Mary Weinberg. And you are truly a Mary Weinberg. You are a piece of work in the most positive way. And so I'm still angry because you're not here, but I'm so very happy for you. I'm so very proud of you, and I'm so very glad to know you. So although I am angry, I do know that our district is better for you having been here. And whatever you choose to do in your next endeavor, I have absolutely no doubt and would lay all the money I have that you will do it with style, class, and a Mary Weinberg flair. So thank you for all that you've done. I'm an only child, and I have a twin now in you, but thank you for all that you will do as well. Thank you for sharing your talents and your treasures. And I look forward to reading and or living the next level that you have.
Thank you so much. And I said I wasn't going to cry, but you had to say those words. But thank you, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Treasurer Augustine, take
Yes,
roll.
it is my pleasure to call the roll for this. Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Crossett? Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Mapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Weinberg, was that awkward?
Yes.
Vice President Bolton,
Yes.
and President Moffett.
Yes. We are now at the item on the agenda for the hearing of the public, and I'm going to turn that over to Vice President Bolton.
Thank you again. Well, let me get my breath together here. We are now at the item of our agenda for hearing the public. Each speaker will have 2 minutes and will address all comments to the presiding officer. If you have any materials or presentations wanting to be distributed to the board, please give them to Board Administrative Assistant Phyllis Davis in the front row. If you're online, once a request to speak has been granted, you'll be invited to enter. You should click on the camera icon to go interactive. Provide your name, your affiliation to the district, your school community, your topic, and your contact information if you'd like a response to any questions that you might raise. This request is consistent with board protocol, and we appreciate your help. In the unusual event that someone is not willing to follow this protocol, we reserve the right to end that person's time. Again, each person will have 2 minutes to speak. When the timer goes off, your time is up. Please refrain from discussing any personnel matters. After speaking, if you're online, and you'll briefly see the welcome screen again as you transition back to live stream meeting. Tonight, we have one person that is requesting a piece of information regarding, I believe, unclaimed funds. And we have 2 more people to speak in person tonight, which includes Kathy Burlew and CFT President Julie Sellers. Rob, do we have anybody online tonight?
Madam Vice Chair, we have one online speaker this evening.
Let's start with our online person, if we could. Welcome, whoever this is. Thank you.
Thank you. This online speaker is Danny Boris, a parent. Danny, I'm going to unmute your video here. There you go. And you can go ahead and begin when you are ready.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Danny Burris. I'm a mother of both a Withrow 9th grader and a South Avondale 6th grader. I would like to speak about the process and thank one of the board members for getting IEPs for my children. So basically, I had to stop Dr. Moffitt at Meyer months ago to get more information on how to make sure that my kids both get a fair and adequate education. My children have been with CPS for this is our 6th year. My son came into the district with an IEP for his speech, but not for his ADHD. Unfortunately, we went through every single year of him at South Avondale of me asking for him to have his IEP, but not getting it for his ADHD. It wasn't until he was diagnosed with autism in the fall of 2024 that they actually started talking to me about his IEP for while he was at Withrow. We're still making sure that he's getting all of the services that he needs, but it's still very frustrating because many people were saying, oh, he's just lazy. Oh, he's not putting his best foot forward. Well, he has other issues. And with my daughter being an AB honor roll student at South Avondale, she never had an IEP until we never got through the process until this year after talking with Dr. Moffitt and Meyer at like 9:00 at night and sending a certified letter to the schools, addressed to the principals for her to get the process of her IEP after her diagnosis of ADHD and autism as well. People should not have to be begging the schools to make sure their kids have the services that they need so that they can have a fulfilling time as an adult. We shouldn't have to go through all of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kathy Burlew.
I'm new at this. Is this right?
You're good.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Kathy Berlew. I'm a product of Cincinnati Public Schools
All right.
and of Walnut Hills. I'm glad to see some Walnut Hills people here tonight. And I currently serve on the alumni board at Walnut. Although I hope my information is incorrect, I've heard that fewer kids from inner city schools met the criteria to be admitted to Walnut Hills this year on the iReady test than in previous years when the Iowa was used to determine admission. That concerns me because I believe Walnut Hills changed the trajectory of my life and played an important role in me, a first-generation college student, becoming the psychologist that I am today. Moreover, I believe that the rewards and benefits of my Walnut Hills education and my deceased husband's Walnut Hills education, who also was first generation, that those benefits are showing up 2 generations later in my family. Both of our daughters went to Walnut Hills, and now my grandson is a 10th grader there. If it is true, and I acknowledge that I'm basing this on hearsay, that fewer kids from inner city schools are meeting the criteria to go to Walnut on the iReady than in previous years on the Iowa, then I worry that the iReady may be blocking some children who are capable of being successful at Walnut. And again, I say those who are capable of being successful at Walnut from access to the Walnut Hill, the great Walnut Hills education. And I ask the board to please review that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Berlew, you noted, would you like a written response from the superintendent regarding that? Sure. Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is President Julie Sellers. To remind the public and that are here and viewing, the president of CFT, Cincinnati Federation of Teachers, does not have the time limit of 2 minutes to address the board.
Thank you, President Moffitt and members of the board. I was extremely disappointed that at the last board meeting, you voted to pass a new policy without meeting with any teachers or the district's education initiative panel. I heard it pass from another organization on Facebook. Their post, it said that it was a newly designed system and that it was going to be, but grading is very complicated and could have many unintended consequences or harmful impact on many students. Tonight, I want to provide a brief but evidence-based overview of our concerns surrounding iReady assessments and how we should interpret their results moving forward. The purpose of iReady is it is a computer-adapted test, which means it moves grade levels and it changes for every single student, designed for screening and progress monitoring. It adjusts questions difficulties as students answer, which can make it efficient, but also highly sensitive to student effort, motivation, and testing conditions. This means that results must be interpreted cautiously, especially at the individual level. iReady test results are not to be used just randomly on an individual level. There are many key concerns about the accuracy. First, student effort significantly affects the scores. If a child rushes, guesses, disengages, the adaptive algorithm quickly lowers the difficulty and produces an artificially low result. Secondly, early grade reliability is also limited. Teachers frequently report the reading diagnostic is too word-heavy for young or struggling readers, and this can distort the results. Third, the transparency is very limited. Neither teachers nor parents see test items or student results, even unlike the state official assessments. We only see summary scores, which can make it difficult to understand why a student performed a certain way. You really don't know. And lastly, it is the grade level labels that can be very misleading. That's the part that worries me. On grade level in iReady does not necessarily match comprehensive reading or math proficiency. It does not measure deeper skills such as comprehension, depth, reasoning, or creativity. What the research does show, and that is through independent evidence, reviews do not classify iReady as a gold standard assessment. For example, evidence for ESSA, one of the strictest evaluators in the country, lists no qualifying studies validating iReady's reading or math assessments. A 2025 classification accuracy study found that a prior year study state predicts a student's performance better than a fall iReady diagnostic. This means iReady alone should not be used for any high-stakes testing or proficiency decisions. Instructional gains are modest and very inconsistent. Studies of iReady instruction show small effect sizes, often around 0.1, which is statistically significant but limited in practical impact. Gains depend heavily on implementation. And why this testing matters, because iReady is digital and adaptive. Its accuracy is affected by motivation and attention. Students who are rushing or guessing lowers the scores. Comfort with technology. Younger children may struggle with long digital reading tasks. That's not natural for them. Noise or distractions during testing can have an impact on this type of assessment. Student anxiety or frustration, if they just start hitting buttons or they give the wrong answer 2 or 3 times, that can impact it. Developmental readiness, especially in the early grades, can fluctuate and should be viewed with teacher input. All of these examples introduce noise into the data, especially when used for high-stakes purposes and something that is going to be permanent on their report card. What iReady is good for, there are some things where iReady works really well. Identifying which students may be behind or needing intervention. It's a great intervention predictor. Tracking growth over time. Are they here? Are they moving there? Seeing trends at class, school, or district levels. Those are easy to measure. Guiding personalized instruction when used consistently and with fidelity. But it is a useful tool, but only when it is used in the right context. What iReady should not be used for, based on the research, educators and independent evaluators agree. iReady should not be the sole source for identifying proficiency. iReady should not determine retention, promotion, or high-stakes placements. iReady results should not be interpreted in isolation, especially for young or struggling readers. iReady should not replace teacher judgment or classroom evidence. It is one data point, one, and there's not even for sure that it's accurate. The best practice recommendations is to use the system responsibly and effectively. The experts recommend use iReady as one data point among many, combine it with teacher assessments, classwork, observation, and other standardized tests. Look at the growth trends that are taking place, not a single test event. One diagnostic is not enough to understand a student's learning. Ensure consistent implementation of iReady instruction if the district chooses to use it. But research shows gains only when lesson time is consistent. Be cautious with high-stakes decisions. iReady can misclassify students, especially those near cut scores or those affected by digital testing issues, and those do happen. Every time there's a test done electronically, there is somewhere in the district where there are some testing issues. Rely on teacher expertise. Human judgment and qualitative data provide essential context that a digital test cannot capture. iReady is a valuable screening and growth monitoring tool, but it is not a comprehensive or high-precision measure of a student proficiency. It is most effective when used with other assessments and with strong teacher involvement. The evidence is clear that relying on iReady alone, particularly for high-stakes decisions, is not supported by any independent research. Our goal should be to create a balanced assessment system that respects the data iReady provides while recognizing its limits. My main concern with adding the iReady score to the report card is that the Focus Parent Porter gives a whole view of that assessment. It gives you what the score was. It gives you an area that tells what parents can do at home to help with that math or the reading skills, especially with the younger students. It gives parents ideas and questions to ask at the next parent-teacher conference. It is a two-page report in many cases. I worry that if you put a single score on the report card, they won't bother to use that full two-page response that many parents need and should read and is available to every parent. I believe this has created a solution to a problem we didn't have, but it could have been the problems had an easy solution, such as making sure that we teach parents how to get on Focus, how to access those reports, how to see the report card. It's all stored right there on each student's parent portal. So my main concern is adding that iReady score to the report card is that the parent portal gives the full view of the assessment, including examples of what parents can do, and it will then not necessarily be aligned with the report card and the assessments. There's just a lot that we should have been discussing. The only positive responses that I could get about iReady were from the company that created iReady. So many times you put in information about iReady and you have whatever the company is, well, I forget, but whatever that company is, their results show positives, and they say it's very valid, it's very reliable, but that's not what all of the other researchers say. So I am not here to say yay or nay, but I believe that you voted for this policy entirely too soon before you had enough background information. I don't think there was enough discussion within the district or with teachers or even with a whole wide range of parents. So I would like to see that in January, after we come back from Christmas break, that we can have some more discussion about this before we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sellers. And that concludes hearing of the public.
Thank you. Superintendent Murphy, please introduce our first guest presenter.
Absolutely. So we have guest visitors, Dr. Moffitt, who are with us today, but they're not strangers to us. Adopt a Class is featured in many of our classrooms across our school district, K to 8th grade. And so we have Ms. Sonia Fultz coming down to share with us, and she has other team members here being supportive as well.
Well, hello, board members.
Hello.
So I guess my name did not make the agenda, but I'm Evan Klinkenbeard, the board chair for Adopt a Class. I've served as the board chair for the last 4.5 years. It's been an incredible journey. And CPS has been a proud partner of ours for 23 years. So today, Adopt a Class serves 16 different districts in the greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky region, but it's CPS that is our largest district by number of schools served, as well as number of students that we impact. Over the last 23 years, Adopt a Class has had several iterations. I was remarking with Assistant Superintendent Badgett about Adopt a Class's early days, where it's a little bit more of a PTO by design, of corporate partners going into the classroom and serving simply as mentors to the kids. Today, it's a totally different program. The quality has ramped up tremendously in the last several years, thanks to our CEO, Sonia Foltz. The content of what we deliver today, it's all about career readiness. And so we're very proud to stand behind that in the students that we're impacting today. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to our CEO, Sonia Foltz.
Thank you, Evan. Board members, certainly President Moffitt, and I know Vice President Bolton has seen our program, but for all of you, first of all, thank you for having me here tonight. Superintendent Murphy, we've been at this since I started in this position in 2020. I actually took over in March of 2020. Great time to take a school-based program. But what I found coming out of that was no matter how CPS was serving their students, whether they were still virtual or whether they were back in the classroom without volunteers, and eventually open it up to volunteers, our corporate partners wanted to be there alongside you. And so we found ways for them to drop off packets. We found ways for them to bring in digital resources. And when I saw that as a lifetime educator, teacher for a lot of years, and then higher ed, doing post-high school pathway work, I knew I had something special. So in fall of 21, when I was able to really wrap my arms around this program and see where we were going, we set out to bring workforce readiness and career exposure and pathways to the forefront of our program. At that point, we were serving about 200 classrooms across the region. About 70% of those classrooms were here in CPS. Today, we are serving 250 CPS classrooms. We are in 30 of your schools. Thank you.
Good thing.
You have last year's district impact report in front of you, and I would ask you, as a teacher, I should never do this, tell you to look at a handout, but I'm going to ask you to do that, because if you flip to the second page, you're going to see the number of companies, more than 120 companies involved in your classrooms, mentoring your students in all 16 nationally recognized industry buckets. They show up every month to the same classroom, month over month, 5 to 8 volunteers, and they bring their industries and their careers alive. That is the hallmark of our program since it started at Euler School 23 years ago. But today, you also have in your packet a K through 8 schematic of what our program looks like. We also now ensure that all of your kindergarten through second grade students get out to understand the arts and what our great city has to offer. So they're at the Contemporary Arts Center. They're at the library getting their first library card and hearing from LaToya Turner, and board member Weinberg has participated in that author experience with us. And then your 3rd through 5th graders are out experiencing early STEM opportunities in our great city and region. They're at the observatory, they're at the museum center doing the Made in Cincinnati exhibit. They're at so many places out in your park systems. Thank you, City of Cincinnati. And then your 6th through 8th graders are out there seeing what those pathways are to ensure that they know how to get to their post-high school pathways that they now have seen through all 16 industries through their 9 years of mentorship by more than 60 mentors who showed up month after month over their 9-year K-8 career. All of your 6th graders do community college visits to Sinclair, to Cincinnati State, to Miami Regionals. They're going all over with us. All of your 7th graders participate in our Heroes Day, see every pathway in the military, first responders, as well as active duty reserves, Air National Guard. And guess what? It's like touch a trucks with military and first responders. So we take over Lunken Airport and they all come. We've had Black Hawk helicopters, and by the way, 2 female pilots landed that for us. We want your students to see their pathways, so we will also this year for the first time have a skilled trade showcase day. We have all of the partners. The city's giving us the equivalent of 4 football fields to bring in all their large equipment, and we'll take 1,000 of your 7th graders out to that. Your eighth graders all go on college visits with us. They don't go and sit and listen about admissions. They go and they walk the halls. They see what dorm rooms look like. Hartwell eighth graders just went with us up to Central State and spent a day learning about HBCU experiences. We make that happen because we are your partner in ensuring that your kindergarten through eighth grade students know the pathways, know the industries, know the career opportunities that are afforded them because they attend CPS. That is our goal, so that when they go to high school, when they work with Mr. Badgett on those CTE opportunities, they know what those mean. Because if you don't know what it means to be in cybersecurity and work in the WAR cybersecurity unit on the top floor of the US Bank building downtown, which, by the way, your IT seventh grade students know that from Taft. They were in that war room working on hacks across the world. They don't dream about what they could be if they don't know what they could be. So our goal is to open those doors and then tell them how to get there, because high school's too late. Juniors and seniors are too late. They need to set their pathway so they can be successful at that time. So that's what we do. So for many of you, I know the board knows this, but for many of you who are in the room, what's the cost to the district? Nothing. When your CTE dollars just got cut from $10 per student to $3, we didn't take a dime of them, and we never will. All of that transportation to get to all of those field trips, hundreds of them, we pay for that for you. Our goal is to partner and walk alongside you and ensure that every Cincinnati public student has every opportunity that any other student would have to find success. So we're in 251 of your classrooms. That's only 30 of your schools, and not all of those classrooms are filled. That's where we need you. You know people. We will take it from there. Ask Dining Services, I told her I would call her out. They mentored AWL. Within your own district, you have 3 teams within the staff. Superintendent Murphy invited me to speak to all of the directors in the district, and we have 3 teams that stepped up. I think I recruited a 4th tonight in marketing and comms. Not going to put any pressure on you, but I'll wait for your email. If we can get Western Southern, if we can get US Bank, if we can get UC Health, who has 13 mentor teams in your schools, and they're not all doctors, they're not all nurses, they're accounting, finance, marketing. If we can get the city of Cincinnati, and I wish that Vice Mayor had not left yet, but they have almost 40 mentor teams in your schools. That means they are mentoring on an annual basis almost 1,000 students in your district on careers at the city. From buildings and inspections to waterworks, you name it, they're doing it all. And so I stand here before you to say we're in this together. We'll take care of the funding. We need more partners. We need a seat at the table to say, walk together and let's fill every one of your classrooms across CPS so that we ensure all students. And I know that that is certainly Superintendent Murphy's desire, it's my desire, and I just ask the board to consider how we can continue to do that together. With that, I'll open it up for any questions. I gave you a bunch of other data that you might be interested in and why companies say yes too, because UC's done all that research for us.
So I gave Ms. Foltz instructions. I said, be succinct. You were rushing, so I appreciate that brevity of that. Can you just, before I go to board member questions, list the companies that you mentioned that you wanted partnerships with?
So we can send you a complete list. We keep a list of our desired companies that we're not yet in, but I also would say, you know, people in companies we're already in that we can expand in. So don't limit it to those not yet on our list or your list. I believe your future board member as of January was in our program when she was at Kroger. We have 13 Kroger teams, and we haven't scratched the surface on the number of Kroger employees that are in our region. So don't limit it to who you think we already have on our list, because the minute you introduce me to someone else, they're going to say, oh, we'll get involved too. Okay. So if you know people, we take it from there. I promise you, it is just an introductory email, and we do all of the recruitment, the training, the connection with your schools. Your schools are amazing in partnering with us. We couldn't do this without them. We walk hand in hand with your resource coordinator and your principals to ensure that all teachers are matched, all mentor teams have an amazing experience. From end to end, they walk in the door, they walk out, and it's great.
I'm going to go to questions. Board Member Craig.
So I will try to be short also, following instructions. I want to first say, I actually met Evan many years ago. I don't know if you remember, but you actually spoke with, I was still young enough to be part of the UCYFB alumni group. That was back when I was young. Yeah. But it's good to see you still being very active. But I want to say, I think this is an awesome experience. My office at UC, we actually did it in 1 year during COVID times, and it was kind of a cool twist of it, because normally you would go in, and at that time we were still social distancing and all that other fun stuff. And so we were still able to interact with the students and have a good time. And I think it's a great privilege for many of the folks in the community who are looking for ways to get more involved and to really make a difference in some of these students' lives, because for some kids, they don't know about a potential career, they don't know about a job, they don't know about an industry until someone comes in and stands in front of them and tells them about the thing they do. So one of the things I certainly think we can encourage, I know we've got a lot of great partners on there, but also some of our small business leaders and other ways who are looking to get more involved in the district. We're looking at ways to really give their time and services without necessarily always feeling comfort to give, although we still want them to give dollars. But they may not always be able to at that point, but they can always give time. And so I think that's the greatest thing about Adopt a Class.
Thank you. I mean, in the district alone, we currently have about 2,600 volunteers who show up every single month. So we want to increase that because they're your voters. They're everyone to your district that will continue to move it forward. So thank you for your involvement.
Board Weinberg.
I will be very brief. I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and speaking on such a great organization. You all do so much for our kids. You do so much for the city. You do so much for our communities. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is much needed. And it gives, I think, the youth just an opportunity, like you stated, to just be able to see different things, learning about different authors, seeing what's out there. So again, thank you for coming, and we look forward to helping in any way possible.
Thank you.
Vice President Bolton?
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll ditto that. Been here 18 years, and you all preceded me. So I'm thrilled that somebody's preceding me at this rate. But I have to tell you, I'm so excited, when getting used to Adopt a Class in the early years. Just that was so important because, very frankly, there wasn't a lot of participation at the classroom level. And you all go to the classroom level at that particular time, but the most exciting thing I can think of, very frankly, is some of the stuff you just mentioned, is that our kids can't dream or think about what they could be until we know that they have the opportunity to see what they can be. And I'm so thrilled that you're also not only providing that career path as you've evolved into that role, rather than the initial role that you all played, but the other piece is that you are teaching our kids to love their city and to love their economic system and love the idea of employment, love the idea of advancing through their own skills and efforts. I mean, it's just an important lesson that, very frankly, I'm not sure that the world is teaching right now. So thank you so much.
Sure. Do you mind if I comment real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just speaking of loving the city, we had this question earlier tonight if we were a national program. And it's not that we haven't been asked by other cities to participate or expand, but the board felt very, very committed to be a greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky entity first and foremost. And so the roots run very deep of teaching our kids more about not only the career pathways, but about all of those fantastic experiences that Sonia shared that really showcase the city. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Great. Board Member Crossen?
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I also wanted to recognize your participation in the Business Advisory Council. Thank you very much. I see you at every meeting, and you always are working the room. So thank you very much. Just curious, and maybe you don't have the answer today, but $1 million in volunteer time, how many hours is that?
So the formula is about 112 hours per mentor team. So you had 246 mentor teams last year. So 112 hours times 246 mentor teams times currently $33.16, which isn't very much per hour, but that is the national rate. If you think about the paid people in the classroom, they're making a lot more than that per hour. But that's the national rate, and that's how we figure that number for you.
I did a little napkin thing before you answered your question, and I was at $30 an hour, so very close. So thank you.
And that doesn't include about $780,000 from our budget that we put into the district with our 5 staff that are dedicated, all of the transportation, the materials, the literacy program, and the K-2. So it's close to $1.8 million in the district.
Very impressive. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sure.
Board Member Mapp?
Yeah, so thank you for the presentation. I am an avid believer that when, our schools are the heartbeat of our community, and when our schools are thriving, our communities are thriving. And so thank you for being present in our schools to make sure that our students have that exposure and opportunity, and also opportunity to leadership. I think about my own personal experiences of having being introduced to certain pathways, and so that is something that you carry throughout your years. And so thank you for the work that you're doing. I'm really interested in hearing how we continue to capitalize on our middle schools who are identified as having those CTE introductory pathways, and so seeing how we can expand in that area. So again, thank you for all that you're doing and your continued partnership.
Thank you. And I will mention, we work directly with the district as you transition to middle schools and junior highs. We actually tracked about 40 mentor teams that would have not been in those schools when the schools transitioned, and every mentor team chose to follow their teacher no matter what building they went to. That speaks volumes about your teachers and where our mentors want to spend their time. Very passionate about it. I'll close in saying that we're really excited. We worked with the district leadership, and the University of Cincinnati is launching a longitudinal study of our CPS program. It is a 12-year longitudinal study to follow our outgoing 8th grade classes for 6 years, all the way through 2 years post-high school, and look at the results of the impact of the program. So we look forward to seeing amazing results and putting CPS's name on that study that is set already at the state level to get a lot of state attention. But those are results no one else has on what happens to our students when we have amazing programming for them. So we look forward to those great results that we can go present nationally as well as across the state. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I've always been a fan, and I am personally connected to the work. I've been a mentor. I actually spoke at your breakfast that you had a couple of years ago, got a chance to interact with some of the mentors, and it's just so powerful. It's a small thing that we can do that makes a huge impact, and it's just so lengthy. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for all that you do for our students. Thank you for giving it to us free. And I look forward to continuing to send you some information. We each, I'm sure, have connections that we can send. So we'll get your inbox full.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Superintendent Murphy, please introduce our next presentation.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. So we do have this evening Ms. Jessica Shelley, our Student Dining Services Director, and Chief Burkhart coming to share with us on this year's Good Food Purchasing Program.
Good evening. So for the next couple of minutes, we're going to be talking about the Good Food Purchasing Program and the results that we just received. Now, we're not here to talk about the current year, 25-26, nor are we here to talk about school year 24-25. We're actually here to talk about school year 23-24. Now, because I can't remember sometimes what I did yesterday or last week, I have Director Shelley here with me to remind us what happened in that time frame. But as we go to the first slide, there's actually only 2 slides that we're going to pull out of this, so we're going to be brief. CPS, and specifically the dining services, achieved the Silver Status Award designation. Why is that important? They met all equity, accountability, and transparency requirements as set forth by the Good Food Purchasing Program. Within that, I just want to highlight one number on this, and that is that 30% of produce locally sourced and seasonal, which is a huge kudos to Director Shelley and her team. That is monumental. She is a leader in the industry. As we go to the next slide, and actually, those of you who can click on it, you can actually click on the link and it will bring up the entire presentation, or the report, I should say, from the Good Food Purchasing. I'm giving you the executive summary here, and just a couple of key points. Local, the target was 15%. We surpassed that with 18.7%. If you look at carbon footprint, the target is -5%. We blew that out of the water with negative 19.4%. If you look at valued workforce, the target is 5%. Again, blew that out of the water with 12.8%. Animal welfare is the one area where we need to do some work. I'm going to talk about that in a second. The target is -15%, and we were less than a percent change on that one. And then finally, community health and nutrition, again, 51% is the target. Again, blowing that out of the water with 75%. So 4 of the 5 key benchmark areas we have excelled at. In relation to animal welfare, the key thing that folks are looking at for animal welfare is reducing the pounds of use of animal products, i.e. protein from animals. That is really hard to do for breakfast and lunch, as well as, and when we look at those types of foods that students want, typically those are animal proteins. And so until we can get more plant-facing forward entrees, we will continue to struggle in that area until we reduce significantly the number of pounds of protein we're using from animal sources. But within this, we've exceeded all the marks exponentially for the 5 marks. And with that, we will answer any questions back to the 23-24 school year.
Board member questions? It could be a good thing. Oh. Sure, you got to come off the mic.
On the question, this started, if I recall correctly, this was an actual commitment that the district was making, kind of a progressive commitment and wanting to lead the state and lead the region. So I'd like to ask a question, and it also, it's good for Earth, it's good for the kids, it's good for the district, but it also, early on, it costs more to do it the right way. And we've made that commitment as well. If you could frame a little bit where you think we are, we know we have star, stage, and screen in nutrition and student dining with us, but I mean, where do we kind of fit? Or who are our peers, or do we even have any peers?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and actually, we did make that commitment 7 years ago, where we actually made a board policy around making sure that we are investing in quality products for our kids that we serve every day that are nutritious and delicious, and also benefit the whole child and our whole community by investing back in local as well. I did some research. I called in actually to Good Food Purchasing, and I said, how many districts are out there doing this? There are 24 school districts across the country that have ever done an assessment. And right now, only 19 school districts are currently participating and receiving yearly assessments. So we are one of very, very few who are out there actually with this commitment, with a policy in place, that we are standing strong to support our students and our families and our community with this. Our closest one, I'm really bad at like geography. Chicago Public Schools does it, but I say that because they haven't done it for a couple years, but they'd be our closest people who do it. California's got the lion's share.
Well, of
California's
course.
got,
West Coast.
It is challenging. The animal welfare is something that we've worked really hard on. And if you scroll down for me, Rob, just a little bit, you'll see that we actually meet a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit more. There we go. We offer and promote our plant-powered options. We actually have a vegan and vegetarian menu that we offer every day to our kiddos. But the key is we're benchmarked on the poundage. And if those meals aren't the ones the kids select, then it's not the volume and the poundage that they're looking for and measuring us against. So our kids come in and they see we got Wild Wings Wednesdays, and it's really hard for them to choose our crispy tofu taco when we have Wild Wings Wednesdays. Just, it is one of those things where we're seeing, this generation of Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they are much more exploratory towards those plant-forward options, but since it's Cincinnati, it's always kind of a struggle to get those flavors and those profiles changed. Doesn't mean we don't do it. Doesn't mean we don't continue to offer it and promote it and encourage kids to try and sample, as you have seen from our student council events, our taste tests we do in our schools, and also from our welcoming our community and our parents to try at our LSDMC meetings, some of the things that we're offering that are really unique and delicious and different.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just, the culture is the culture. And when we decided to do this, we didn't have really any more money than we currently have. But you want to do the right thing, and the whole child culture permeates everything that we do. So this is just, we lead, we do not follow.
This is also one area where Director Shelley and her team have made this to be cost neutral. So she's
Yes.
still not taking money out of the general fund, self-sustaining, but also doing the right thing while not. Treasurer Guston is standing and shouting and jumping up and down. But seriously, we can do the right thing and also be cost-effective in doing it.
That's right.
Board Member Craig?
So I appreciate you also recognizing the challenge is not that we don't offer, the challenge is that they make preferences, because I recognize my own preferences when we had the tasting options tended to be more towards all of the meat items. That may have been also because I didn't notice there was a salad bar. But maybe the question is, where do we go from here as we're looking to consistently strive to improve? Where's the next path we're looking to go?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. One of the things that we're required to do from here is actually create an action plan in conjunction with the Center for Good Food Purchasing on what are our next options and where we're looking forward to going towards. And one of those is actually still looking towards additional plant-powered meals. How can we do, more education around having legume and different pea proteins as a delicious and great option for our kids to choose instead of an animal protein. We're also looking to work better with our suppliers. Sometimes we don't get the transparency of where the product comes from. It's quite a complicated system, the food system we live in. If you've been watching the news, you've seen that in action. But sometimes not even, unfortunately, our USDA food products come in saying where they're from. So we might get a huge, beautiful case of blueberries from USDA Foods, but it doesn't tell me if those blueberries are from Maine, or if those blueberries are from Washington, or if those blueberries are from Michigan. So one of the things we're trying to work on is that transparency to make sure that we're getting more information, not only from USDA Foods, but from our other manufacturers and distributors to make sure we can raise that up a little higher. We've done a really great job of local produce, but produce is that enigma. Because it's very, very common for companies to pull produce from several different states and mix it together and then say, here's your shredded romaine. And so trying to figure out exactly what states and farms that was harvested from will really help us. Are they a level 3 farm? Are they a small farm? Are they a minority-owned farm? We want to have that deep dive of information. So that's one of our action plan steps, is to really dive into where that product is coming from.
And I'll just add, I know we talked about it in budget and finance, but I think the other thing that is increasingly part of what you all are doing is educating students by also the experiences of having moments to come in and do the taste test, be a part of what is their meal. And so I think that's another aspect of the more the students are recognizing and appreciating what they're getting and how much better it was than when I was in school, the more they're also showing you the things that they like, the more you're able to shape the menus to really work through that. I know we talked a little bit about that with regards to even waste, in that sense of like trying to educate on take what you actually will eat and like finding those ways of communicating that out. So I think that there's a lot of great things we're doing when it comes to our dining services team, and it's just great work.
So I am a huge fan anyway, but I'm also interested in the connectivity systemically. So is there ever an opportunity for our students to do some of the project-based learning to find out where their food is coming from, so that maybe that's a 10th grade science project? I'm just throwing that out. Is there any opportunity to use students to help with this, to help just do the research part, or to help with educating the other students around the vegetarian options, and like just to help. I know you had talked about kind of connecting some of our culinary students, but is there any way that you all can think of to connect some of our needs to get some of this work done to maybe some project-based learning opportunities?
Yeah, we will happily, like you said, we already engage with our Data High culinary students. They're actually coming in and they'll do different types of mini internships in our kitchens and work with us. We have a great partnership with Green Umbrella. We work a lot with them in terms of how we can engage our students. We had a grant that we're working through with Aiken High School. Our goal with that is that those farms they have will become something called GAP certified. And when it's called good agricultural practices. And once they get certified and signed off on by the Ohio Department of Agriculture, then we can begin to micro-purchase produce from that high school, which becomes wonderful because then we can actually bring that produce into our schools and serve it to our students that's being grown by our students.
Right.
But then we're actually paying those students and they're learning the entrepreneurship skills and also the agricultural skills. And it helps create that program of being self-sustainable, which is what our goal is. We would welcome the opportunity for kiddos that they're willing to come in and do a deep dive and see what they want to do with us. We're happy to sponsor that and work with people. I think that's something that maybe I should make a note to talk to Emily Campbell about for curriculum.
For sure. I just think that there are many opportunities that we miss because we don't make those connections, that the students in many of the schools are growing their own vegetables in those really big horticulture, I can't think of the name of them, but the big greenhouses.
Yeah, the farm forks, the hydroponics.
Yes, the hydroponics. And so they're growing lettuce. And they actually, in the schools, I know John P. Parker does this, in the schools, they've got these big greenhouses, they're growing food, their families are coming up, helping them garden, so they're learning about it from a biology standpoint. But wouldn't it be great if there could be some sort of connectivity with food services so that they're helping you further the needs that you have within some project-based learning as well, and tying that to career tech dollars. So we definitely have a lot of conversations for Assistant Superintendent Badgett, but thank you so much for all that you do for our kids. Appreciate it. Board Member Crossan?
Yeah, just FYI, the Business Advisory Council, we've started with Chris Burkhart to look at employment this summer for some of the students with groundskeeping, and we've had a brief conversation with our food services. I just got the green light from the superintendent for the Business Advisory Council to see if we can also find the same kind of opportunity in our food service.
Good.
For seniors and graduating seniors. Yeah.
And it's on the way.
FYI.
Thank you. News flash. We heard it here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Superintendent Murphy, please introduce our next presentation.
Yes, ma'am. So we have Assistant Superintendent Sierra Badgett coming to share with you what's going on in our middle schools.
Grab a seat, Mr. Badgett.
I need a stool.
It is cold over here.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. School board members, Superintendent Murphy, and Treasurer Guston. I am excited to give you an update on our middle schools, what's happening, and give you our glows and grows. Just want to go over a couple things. You should have received our slide deck, but also you should have seen a supplemental book that you should have at your desk, and also that it has been uploaded online for members of the public. They can see it as well, so they can reference that tonight when we're going through the presentation. I will say, since last Wednesday, I did have to reorganize a couple slides, and I can key that out for you. Just want to make sure you got the right new information that we received regarding attendance and a couple other things that came from the supplemental text. Next slide, please.
Assistant Super Badgett, are you going to go through all the 30 slides?
No, ma'am. I'm going through the,
Okay. Okay.
we have a presentation, and then you have that book for you to reference.
I got you.
Yes, ma'am. I wouldn't do that to you. All right, so middle school is a journey, not a destination. Our vision for middle schools was to focus on the whole child. So when we looked at models for our middle schools, we wanted to make sure that academics was being met, along with SEL structures, that our middle schools were based on those two things. And we landed on the middle school model. So we're following the middle school model for all of our 6 middle schools, junior highs. We are following the middle school models for those campuses. With that being said, we wanted to make sure that we had flex time. We wanted to make sure we had, when we built the master schedules, teachers had the autonomy to do what was best for our students. And that was focusing on the whole child. But we also wanted to make sure that they had the resources. So with that being said, we sent our principals and school leadership teams to the AMLE conference this summer. We have given each teacher some of the materials that are posted on there of what successful middle schools look like. And we did a couple retreats, and we did a launch in August for all of our middle schools in Hamilton County. We brought the whole team together. It was packed, but it was very worthwhile bringing the teams together to launch this new middle school model. Next slide, please. So we're going to do school snapshots. We heard that you would like to know what each school has, what are on those campuses, and what are those buildings, what are the makeups are of those buildings. So Ethel M. Taylor, grades 7 through 8, focuses on art and communication, public service experience, and they have CTE embedded in art and PE electives. Our next campus, 7 through 8, is Evanston. Focus, International Baccalaureate, and their CT is embedded in business, art, and the PE electives. And I'll explain what the CT embedded means in a few seconds. Next slide, please. We have Schroeder Middle. Just want to highlight Schroeder's in its second year, grades 7 through 8, and their focus is career awareness. CT is embedded in career connections and PE electives. And then we have Hartwell, grades 4 through 8. Their focus is on STEAM, embedded in art, technology, PE, and electives. Also want to highlight that Hartwell does have preschool on their campus, but mainly grades 4 through 8. Just wanted to highlight that. Next slide, please, is P. Hill, grades 6 through 8. Focus is social justice. It's in CTE is embedded in urban ag, art, PE. And then we have South Avondale, grades 6 through 8, focus, STEAM, embedded in career connections, and PE for CTE. So just wanted to highlight what each campus is offering as far as their focus and their CTE. Next slide, please. One question that we get is academic structure. Can you tell us about the academic structure? So together, all of our schools are using the district adopted curriculum. Tier 1 academic framework across all subjects. So we are using the district adopted curriculum for the structure. Next slide, please. So CTE at our middle schools, just want to pivot and say the Adopt a Class program is a great program, just like Sonia said, and to expose our students, that's an additional layer, additional support that our students have on the campuses. So with that being said, CTE, we do have embedded in our middle schools, and you can see, I'm not going to read word for word on that, but you can see them where they stand. But just they're in areas such as art, technology, business, physical education, urban ag, and career connections. The middle school CTE is focused on exposure, skill building, not certification. It's to help students discover interests before high school. Next slide, please. And again, the instructional focus is on career readiness skills, collaboration, leadership, and problem solving. Next slide, please. So next, we want to talk about student outcomes. We truly believe attendance plus behavior equals academics. So this slide here shows you our attendance by the daily average by daily attendance. And if you also see the attendance rate, to my right would be your left, that gives you our attendance in hours. So in our hours, that's what we report to the state. So you see 2 sample points, but to the, again, my right, your left is what we report to the state, and that is calculated in hours. Next slide, please. Thank you. So when it comes to discipline in our schools, we do have an approach, and I'll explain it in just a second, but you can see our top reasons for referrals in our buildings: disorderly conduct, disruptive behavior, disobedience, profanity, and fighting for our top 5 reasons for referrals across our middle schools. And then our consequences range from ALC to parent contact to promise center to emergency removal for that. Next slide, please. So actions to support. We're working with Ms. Monisha House, Director House, and her team. In the PSC team, we have targeted schools: South Avondale, Ethel M. Taylor, Evanston, and P. Hill. We are doing weekly walks, monthly walks. We're working with our state support teams. They specialize in positive school culture, and they have been an additional support for us in the middle schools when it comes to our PBIS plans and making sure we're implementing them with fidelity. And we'll have a reset, PBIS reset in January as well, to help with getting our referrals down. As you can see, if you look at the November numbers, we're moving in the right direction. Okay. Up on the screen now is our fall benchmark. Just want to make sure you understand fall benchmark is where students tested for us in late August, early September. This is where they were in the beginning of the school year. So we are testing, we're under winter assessment testing currently right now. So we will have new data of where our students are after teaching them since when we received them from the beginning of the school year. All right, our next slide is our just continued family engagement. I shared this at the Evanston board meeting. You can see our Q2 updates. We've been working with Jessica Sheely and the communications team. Thank you so much for engaging our parents, getting feedback on the school name, and also their experience for middle school. So they're providing us feedback on their overall experience on middle schools. We have that data that we're going to compile and put action plans in place for our middle schools and also the school names. And then you can go back, you can see Q3, those sites that we will be at for Q3. And then our transportation update. Happy to report that Ethel M. Taylor on Beekman Street, as of this weekend, has two-way traffic, so no longer one-way traffic. We have our weekly meetings with the Metro Chief of Staff and our COO. We also have our Metro Supervisor on the site daily. And Pleasant Hill update is Metro is still researching those options for us as far as moving those stops to see if it's feasible. Thank you. Just want to highlight our first semester supports through collaboration and coaching. We had our H4K meeting with our principals where they owned the data and created plans, action steps, best practices of what we can do to implement to move student academics forward. Also, those H4K meetings have been scheduled and will be scheduled for January when we come back, looking at this winter benchmark that we're taking now. And then we have our instructional rounds. We have round 2 started. And then we have our embedded coaching. We have coaches at 5 of the 6 middle schools currently from Hamilton County, and they work directly with our teachers. So at this time, I would like to just let you know, in your supplemental packet, we do have cost per student. I know that was something that was asked. That's on page 7 of the workbook. And then demographics by zip code. I know that was another question that was asked. Who's attending the middle schools, where? That's on page 6. And then facility needs, that's through pages 8 and 19 of the supplemental text that you received. Now at this time, we have a special treat for you. We'd like to let you view what our students and staff are saying about middle schools.
This is a great time to be a student in our school district. We're celebrating 6 schools designed for the success of our middle grade students.
CPS is in a new era. The middle school model is all about creating an environment where students can thrive, feel safe, and succeed.
So I like this school a lot.
Being in a school with 7th and 8th grade is just perfect.
I get to focus on my studies from no distractions from older kids.
Through CTE, career and technical education programs, CPS middle school students are introduced to a multitude of career options, preparing them for a clear CTE pathway in high school.
We are maximizing their potential and their growth because they've been given the opportunity to step up and become themselves in an environment that is smaller and where they are surrounded by staff that are focused on their personal development.
I did make honor roll this year, and I have never done that before, so that really helped.
The community is feeling the excitement too. Families and staff are thrilled with the focused learning and the amazing resources.
And so it's right in between, so you get to see exactly kind of where they're going and where they come from. So it's good, it's fun.
To truly make these 6 schools their own, we're inviting all CPS middle grade students, families, and staff to help choose the official names of our new schools.
Our new school name is Evanston Junior High. It's 7th and 8th grade, junior high, it just goes together.
6 schools, an innovative model, and a future brighter than ever. Congratulations to our entire district on this incredible achievement. Learn more about our middle and junior high schools at cps-k12.org.
Thank you, Rob. I'll finish by saying our new middle schools are not perfect. Middle schools are the bridge between elementary and high school. And I will tell you that we have been doing our best on building that bridge to make sure that it's intentional, it has structure, and we're making sure that it is accountable. We're holding folks accountable, but also just kudos to our staff at all of our middle schools because they've done a great job. I know I've asked you guys if you want to come to the middle schools for a visit. I really do mean that, to come see what's going on in our buildings. But when you're there, it's just a great feeling to be there. Kids want to be there, and our staff, they're there and they're doing their best. So I just want to give kudos to our middle school staff.
Great, thank you. Board members, questions? Board Member Weinberg, I see you. You want to go first?
That's fine, I can go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I see that you were able to answer a lot of the questions that I had. Was that a couple months ago or last month? Whenever.
October 20th.
Yes, thank you. Do have a couple more questions, and so just bear with me. We're going to move around here. The particular slideshow that you have that you were showing, I might be off on page numbers because the one that I have, it's at 1 page off, so bear with me. Can you go to page 20 really quick where your showcase, it might be 19 for you, I'm not sure, but it's in the academic structure and the progress monitoring. I did just have a question about the pink area. Rob, are you able to pull that up? Is that 20? Page 20. Is there not a page 20? Oh, I'm sorry. So let me reference the book. Let's reference the book. So on page 20, where it's talking about the academic structure, can you just explain what is this highlighting of the 6, 7, and 8? Is it saying that they don't have something for that particular area, or what does that mean?
You here?
So right here, it's highlighted in the pink area for 6, 7, and 8. What does that mean? Or is that just to be highlighted?
It's just highlighted.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
because I wanted to make sure that that science, it does go all the way through for 6, 7, and 8. It's not a block. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So I could, yeah, I don't remember what page number that was. And then just a kind of question overall with the students that are attending the schools, have they been involved in terms of maybe like with their school culture, being able to give some input on school rules, being able to give some input on what they would like to see for extracurricular activities, and then also, do any of the schools have any student councils?
Yes, ma'am. So if you look at our if you look at the sheet for each building, I know Ethel Taylor, for an example, has the principal leadership team, which is similar to student council, where he meets with his folks once a month. I believe some schools are still doing the student council as well.
Okay, so that's fine. So are they able to also help out with the school rules and then the adding any extracurriculars if they have any interest? I know you said that you were going to share some data that you got from the parents and getting some input from them.
Yes,
Have you also got input from the students as well?
We are working on that, yes, ma'am.
And then when will you be sharing that?
I will have to get back with you when I talk to Miss Jessica Shealy Green, because we're still doing it at 3 other schools.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then my next question.
Can I add one piece? When you asked about Schedule E, so a lot of our principals are asking students what they would like to see in clubs on their campus and getting feedback from their students as well.
Okay.
So that's happening from our building principals.
That is great. And then in regards to the parent engagement, I'm going to still utilize the book. It was page 30 and 31. I just wanted to make sure, so it says here that we've had 72 engagement events, and I wanted to see if this information, I know it says that it's been shared through flyers, robocalls, social media, emails, and texts, but has it also been posted on each of the schools' websites? And then has it been sent out to parents through a parent newsletter?
The current upcoming events or the previous events?
Any of the events. So the 72 engagement events, have they been shared in that particular arena, whether it's a parent newsletter or on the school actual website? And then moving forward for the ones that you have listed, what would be the plan? Because I have heard that parents have not heard about these engagement sessions. So I just want to make sure, I know that you can't always please everyone, but I just wanted to make sure that we are hitting all of those particular areas.
Yes, ma'am. So I have seen flyers for some of the events that they have, the principals have put out. I personally have seen it. I can't tell you that they put it on the website every time, but I can work with communications and make sure we have a standard procedure for events, and then we get it out to parents.
And then for your upcoming sites and dates, so this would be February the 12th. You have these particular 2 schools coming up and then Hartwell.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Very good. And I think I have one more. Yeah, for the student outcomes on page 33. Oh, maybe not. Let me change that. I'm going to have to come back on that one. I think I have the wrong page listed for this one. But thank you so much for answering those particular questions. Once I find this last question, I will probably come back around. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other board member questions? Does that look that you guys have questions? Vice President? Okay, y'all. Board Member Lindy.
Yeah, I'm happy to go. I think I really appreciate the update and the work. I'm a former 7th grade teacher, and I appreciate middle schools. I think they can be both challenging sometimes, but also really, really important. And I had a chance to visit Evanston. I thought there were some fabulous things that I saw going on there. This one particular CTE class around budgeting and financial management I'd mentioned before. Really, I thought it was great. The thing I'm trying to get my head around, one of the things I was trying to get my head around is enrollment. And so I was looking at the slide, and I was just trying to do some math here to figure out, like, what's the difference overall between where we thought we'd be and where we are. And when I was trying to do this math, it looked like, this is maybe slide, you have this on here, slide 5 maybe, in one of the decks on board docs. I'm in the one that's called, supporting material is the one I'm looking at. Up one more. There you go, yeah. So if you add up the projected enrollment and you add up the actual enrollment, it looks like it's a difference of about 550-ish kids, which is about 20% of what we thought it was gonna be. And I'm just trying to, I don't know whether we should feel totally fine about that number, concerned about that number. Could you just talk about the enrollment piece a little bit?
Sure. So when we talked to our building principals, we looked at the projected numbers versus what's actually enrolled. We've talked to our superintendent and Jeremy just about when we rolled out middle schools, what could we have done differently? So parents were informed and knew about it. So we talked about communications, just not having communications like a stronger message, so our parents were more informed. We also talked about transportation. Principals have expressed transportation issues or parents not wanting to transport their student far west to Ethel Taylor. So we've had those conversations. Nothing, I would say, concrete, but just looking at our numbers based on where we projected.
Yeah,
Just to be honest.
I think that's great. I appreciate it. And where my head is very forward-looking, where we've been talking a lot about planning for the next several years. And I think a key part of that is going to be enrollment. Because whether we're planning for a future that has more kids, the same kids, or fewer kids, is going to be incredibly important in terms of what we need to provide, but also what kind of revenue we can expect. Is it fair to say, we didn't see a 20% drop in enrollment across the district, did we?
No, but I was going to ask Jeremy if he had any commentary that would help the holistic picture.
Sure.
In terms of where
Because some kids are going different places.
Yes,
And
there could have been other, these are predictions and a guess at this time last year for the most part, based on what we knew, but it could be that kids also chose other options.
I think thank you, that makes total sense. And I think just before hearing from Mr. Gallahue, the big thing I'm trying to think about is our ability to forecast accurately. And mostly thinking about looking to the future, whatever we're going to plan for, we just need to work from something that's as solid as possible. And I appreciate all the context.
Yeah, really just to confirm what the superintendent said and what you suspected is that essentially the original projections were based on the students moving in a very coordinated pattern from the schools that they had been at. And what we found through the process is obviously families made some other selections. So we saw some of the 7-12 programs at Dater and Taft both had a more significant increase. So as a net, there was not a decrease of the 500 plus students across the district. From that, we were almost spot on with our number of total projections at the grade level, just not quite at the location.
And can you say again so aggregate, where are we this year versus where we were last year?
I believe in total, we are approximately 400 students down from where we were ending last year. For where we are at this point versus the start of last year, I would have to check again.
That's okay. Yeah, this is very helpful. Thank you.
Vice President Bolton.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that, this interesting, the 20%, and if I can remember when this was all happening, I can remember Member Craig talking about, you can predict where, you can pretend where they're going to be, but you do not know. And he kept repeating that any number of times, if I recall. And so that's sort of, they've been choosing all these years. So they chose differently than we anticipated. But to your aggregate issue on, when I look at page 27 of the booklet, it has all these different schools, and it's about, the aggregate shows that it isn't 20% off in the aggregate. It's like, what is it, 14,000 something, 15,000? Whatever, it's the total.
Correct.
What does that look like in the aggregate? Is that what you're talking about in the aggregate?
Not necessarily, because again, I'm not really as familiar with what was handed out in this to see, but this looks like it's a selection of schools and a different, by the aggregate, I'm talking about our pre-K through 12 total enrollment. And I probably should clarify that even when I said the 400 approximately that were down, if you remember, we talked a little bit about the projections closer to the front of the year.
Right.
We are really, that's so focused in our preschool area currently. From our K-12, we were about 90 kids off of the total projection. Starting in the fall. And then, of course, over time, we've talked to some extent that naturally we start at our high point and then slowly degrade throughout the year is our typical trend. Last year, we noted and highlighted that at the second half of the school year, for the first time in many years, we saw an actual increase. So some of our projection was based on including that increase, but right now, we're still seeing our standard trend when we started at our high point with the start of school, and we're slowly, declining over the course of the year as we normally would see.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to stay there for 1 second, because I don't think it's fair to talk about aggregate K through 12 in totality of the district when we're specifically looking at middle schools, because that skews the data completely to me, because you're talking about schools who grew, and that's a different number when you put them in with middle schools, which is where we're focusing. So in the conversations, to me, when I look at this, it's page 27 in our book, but it's looking year to year. When you add Taft and Saylor Park and SCPA in here, some of those schools saw an increase, like Saylor Park went from 269 to 297. That's an increase, and that's definitely going to skew the number for sure, because the total between 25, 26 and 24, 25 on this page is 1,036, but that's not apples and oranges. We're talking about middle schools, so I'm not exactly sure why we would have other schools in there and talking about an aggregate that doesn't represent the data accurately to me. But I didn't mean to interrupt your question.
No, I think I take your point, but I think also part of this is there are several of these high schools that significantly lost. That's the connection, because they lost their 7th and 8th grade bands. So there are some high schools that lost significant, let's say Aiken and I don't know, Woodward and a few others if you look. But then there's also schools here that, as you mentioned, increased. So I think that's probably the connection as to why you care about what the middle schools are doing versus the impact that it then had on the high schools, whether it decreased them or added other places.
I think that what I asked for in an assignment that I still haven't gotten is the number of 5th graders that went to 6th grade, because there's where I think the decrease happened. Because some of our schools are 6, 7, 8, some of them are 7, 8. I don't have any interest in looking at an Aiken who lost their 7th graders. Those 7th graders and 8th graders should have been captured in Pleasant Hill, so they're not technically lost. So we should be looking at the decrease in those students that could have gone but chose not to. That's the data. That's where the data is. It's not in the current number that's there. The projection should have been from 5th to 6th, and not just looking, to me, at the numbers versus high school. That's skewing the data, in my personal opinion. But I don't want to, and we don't have that, because everything is all mixed together. It's not been disaggregated out with just middle schools and those students that are projected to go from 5th grade to 6th grade into a middle school. Not where did they go? What's that number of students that could have gone from 5th grade to 6th grade? And then those that went from 6th grade to 7th grade.
Dr. Moffitt, we may need time to pull that out for you.
Yes.
I think what you're asking for, and I agree with it, is you could show maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade enrollment across the district, and then the change in what school they went to year on year.
Yep.
I think what you're saying is probably overall enrollment district-wide in those grades probably isn't hopefully too different from the prediction in total, but maybe just in the different schools where the kids chose to go, so.
And we can definitely look at that. I believe if you would refer to a previous board assignment from about a month ago, unfortunately, I don't remember the date, where we talked about enrollment and some of the history, that data is all available in that board assignment that I linked, that has kind of the breakdown of every grade, every school, and everything. So it is there. We will just have to pull that back out for you.
Well, you're absolutely right, Jeremy, but the assignment was specifically about, it was 6th graders going to 7th, but I asked the question about the 5th graders eligible to go to 6th grade. Where did that go? And that was what we needed to get back. That's all. Well, member Mapp, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miss you.
Oh, no, you're okay. So thank you for the presentation. I think this was really helpful information. I think most significantly for me was the supplemental data. So I have been tracking the projection numbers as well as actual enrollment. And I'm really concerned about the impact of the growth plan and how it has impacted our middle schools, because when I'm looking at the data, and I appreciate the video. I think that was really nice to have captured the student experience as well as principal and teacher experience. But when we're looking at the data, systemically, what I'm seeing is very concerning, and it could be just because it was a lot of restructuring and transitioning occurring. But I, too, am seeing decline in enrollment, specifically as it pertains to those middle schools based off of what the projection entailed and where we currently are. Even after getting an update on actual enrollment, I'm still seeing a decline in those numbers. Some schools may have been stable, kind of like Hartwell or Evanston, but when we look at Pleasant Hill, we look at Ethel Taylor, we look at South Avondale, there has been a decline there. Again, looking systemically, if we're seeing a decline in enrollment, I'm also seeing declining attendance based off the data that you've provided, and concerning disproportionate discipline infractions. A lot of the infractions for South Avondale as well as Pleasant Hill surpass maybe what our high schools were reflecting in terms of referrals. And then concerns with the academic results. I know that that is baseline data, but I'm seeing systematically there's some deficits. And so I appreciate the presentation, but I also want to make sure that we're being transparent about our conversations, because as I always say, it requires us to be honest about those conversations and apply attention there so that we are able to make necessary changes. So that's what I'm seeing. If there's a different narrative of this data, please feel free to offer your input. But I am concerned about what I'm seeing in terms of the results, and what are we going to do from a systemic lens to address these concerns.
So we did, Board Member Mapp, just meet last Wednesday with all of our principals, and we did our reset, which we knew we would have to do moving forward. It was always the plan. And so we did talk about the very things that you're mentioning. And so that's on every principal's radar, all of the assistant superintendent, the deputy, my radar, in order to make sure that there are other things that we need to do and put in place, whether it's attendance, whether it's behaviors or instructional practices. That's what we're doing. We're super excited about the launch and the kickoff of emphasizing in January the importance of attendance, because we already know that in the past years, January has been very challenging for our students with attending school regularly for a plethora of reasons. We also know, based on the fall benchmark piece that we have, soon we'll have the winter data. All of those things will allow us to be able to make decisions that we need to make in order to move into the spring doing the kind of job we want to do.
Perfect, thank you. I do look forward to that information. Again, I have been tracking this data quite frequently, and so do look forward to seeing some turnaround. I recognize that after restructuring, obviously some things do take time, but again, seeing it work together in a holistic approach. I don't know what page number it is, but it's the data slide that shows their fall benchmark. So what I would be interested in seeing, I think this would be really helpful, is, if I'm not mistaken, this is reflecting all of the middle schools' data together. So Ethel Taylor, Evanston. I'm interested in seeing how that looks separated out, like how many students is that equivalent to? So at Ethel Taylor, if this is 17.8% or 80%, what is this equivalent to in terms of how many students are passing? I think that would be really helpful as well, to make sure that we're being more targeted with our supports.
We can break that down.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And I also want to add, and Jeremy, thanks for bringing this up. Our K through 8 buildings, we saw an increase in enrollment in the 7th and 8th grade for our K-8 buildings.
And then just also, oh, I'm sorry.
The other thing that I wanted to call out was just noticing where Hartwell is in terms of their data, whether it was for academics or for attendance or even discipline. I noticed that there was maybe more stability there, and I'm curious to know if we've had conversations about what Hartwell is doing. I think Evanston had some pretty good things to call out as well. So those principals or instructional leaders on how they are kind of directing this work to support the full efforts here.
I was at Hartwell last week with Principal Lewis, and we looked at the zip code to see where kids are coming from, how close it was to the school. We talked those things, so yes, ma'am.
Mr. Craig? I'm sorry, Superintendent, do you want to say something?
The only thing I was going to share is the Deputy and Assistant Superintendents put together an amazing booklet this year that has our reset plan. Happy to share it with the board, just for your information, so you know what direction we're moving in. So we'll get that to you.
Mr. Craig?
So I will try and be brief because I think we talked a lot to you today and over the last few meetings. But I just want to kind of reiterate something that Vice President Bolton referenced, but I think it's just the truth of what I think I said, but others have said as well, is that we can make great plans for our district and we can decide where things are going to be great and everybody's going to want to do exactly what we thought out, and then parents make other decisions. And I think the reality is that some parents did make some decisions. I think we saw some growth in some schools that we didn't predict that we would see the level of growth in. And then we saw some schools where we thought parents would make that choice and they decided not to. I think it's also important to recognize that we didn't just move fifth to sixth grade. We also moved sixth and seventh. We also moved some kids who were in seventh grade already to another school for eighth grade. So everyone who transitioned into one of our middle schools who was not at that building before is a new student to that building. That parent had to make a choice as to whether or not that was the best option for their child at that time. And I think that's that's one aspect of when we do stuff like this, is why we want to take more time in a lot of ways to really develop that culture first and develop those understandings for those parents to understand what programs will be there, what opportunities will be there. But I want to highlight something that I think will be a worthwhile discussion for us in the next year, because I don't think we don't have another board meeting this month. So, yeah, we don't need to do it at the Cal. But we really do need to start looking more at where our census numbers are, as opposed to what we've been tracking in the past, which is historically the students who we provide care for, services for, or are part of the district. And I say that for a reason. As we look at where the city is moving, and I wish Vice Mayor was still here and Councilmember Johnson was still here. The truth is that we don't control where parents live. We don't control where families live. And as we looked at some of the numbers of schools and where kids are coming from, it is not shocking to me that certain schools have a long list of zip codes that are necessary to fill that school to even to the level that they're at, and they're not filled. Whereas other schools have a shorter number of zip codes, which means that they're generally more compacted area. Those people are part of that community. They're more likely to be right around the school. And I think we just have to kind of also start to rethink that conversation point, and whether that is how do we recruit more of the students who we are not touching and we're not getting in those communities, or whether it's where we need to look at some ways to build pathways through the schools so that parents think about that as they start kindergarten. Where my child's gonna go for sixth grade, where my child's gonna go for ninth grade and onward. Whatever that case may be, we probably do need to think that as a strategy when we think about also the strategic plan goals. Because I think at the end of the day, folks will make decisions that we have no power and control over, and that includes where they live, that includes where they want their child to go to high school, and a number of other things. What we best can be positioning ourselves to do is to be able to adjust to that. And I think if we're not using the right information, if we're not looking at the right spaces for that information, we're going to miss out on some clear indicators of where the population changes are happening. The one other thing that I do think it's worth us discussing, and I think we'll get a better understanding maybe after the winter numbers come through with our benchmarks, because I think we had this discussion last board meeting as well. Generally, our fall benchmarks are our low point of the year. And if we see some measure of progress, some measure of growth after we've had some more stability in those schools, if they've been provided resources and information, that's a great sign. Like, I think that's what we're all hoping to see. That's what we would, be excited to see. I do think that's also the conversation point for you all as to whether or not there are additional resources that are needed or additional things that we need to do. Because I do think that amount of change that we put into the district, the amount of things that for some folks, they're just in a different space, or in a different world, or in a different culture with people that they may not have known. That first couple months can be harder than once you're adjusted, once you've been there for a little while, once we've kind of figured out what resources you need. So I think I'm more curious about the winter numbers to see if we see substantial growth. And if we see that substantial growth, then that'd be great, it'd be wonderful. We can cheerlead that on out. But if we don't, then also bringing what is that plan? I think we've talked about a lot, like what's the plan to adjust if we don't see it? Because I do think we want to be prepared for whatever may come. And I think that's the part I'm wondering in some ways if we're really thinking some of those things through fully, not necessarily to say we're going to not achieve certain things, but how do we keep growing? How do we keep making sure everybody's on the right path?
So I'm sorry, I had to go to the bathroom. So I missed Board Member Mapp's question. And I want to first say, thank you for the presentation. I know this is a hard topic. This is tough to get up here, and we're a tough crowd sometimes. I'm concerned about, well, I want to piggyback a little bit off of what Board Member Craig just said, because I do think that we anticipated something that we didn't anticipate exactly where parents were going to go. But I think that the need for middle schools is super significant. When I look at the discipline data, it makes me pause, but it doesn't shock me that some of the discipline data for the middle schoolers it's extremely high, but it was high at the 7 through 12. So it's not abnormal, it's just high. When we talked about the need for middle schools, especially around the ad hoc, which is many years ago now, middle schools were to be treated differently. I read some of those books that you mentioned. I got a copy of them and just kind of perused them, and that the middle school models shouldn't look like the high school models, especially around discipline. So when I see those numbers that look similar to what they were in a 7 through 12 building for that demographic, it concerns me because I'm fearful that we are treating them the exact same way as if they were in a 7 through 12 building, and they shouldn't be. So when I look at the removals of students from the building, and I'm trying to look at I don't know what slide it is on there, but when I look at removals, it's concerning, it's number 24. Thanks, Rob. It's concerning that the numbers for like Pleasant Hill are so significant. South Avondale, some of those numbers I'm wondering, what is that? How are they being treated differently? Those buildings, middle schools were supposed to, I thought, have what they needed versus equality across the district. And I want to make sure that I'm understanding that, that they are actually looking different. That was what parents wanted, is that they wanted the support system for their middle school student, including mental health, including safety and security, including those things, yet the numbers look very similar. So that's where my concern lies, in that we are moving chess pieces. We're not necessarily engaging, we're just moving pieces on the board. And you mentioned I wrote down what you said around what the middle school model was doing. I'm trying to find it. And the one piece that I didn't hear was engagement with the families. I heard structure. I'm trying to find it. And, but this is a time that family engagement is super important. When you have 72 sessions and we get an email from a parent who didn't hear about one of them out of 700 people or 600 people at that building, that is concerning. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we engaging as a checkoff to say we did it? Because 72 looks great, but 72 with people who don't know that that happened is concerning. So I want to invite more diversity for the middle schools. And I think, you and I've talked about some different things, and I think it can come, but I think that we may need to be reminded, or to remind you, that they weren't supposed to be an extension of what is done at the high school level. They are supposed to be different. And we're looking at data that is very similar. And that's just, that does us no good. We're not actively, I don't know if we're actively recruiting families, because once we get that data from the fifth graders who were sixth graders, if we see that the trend is down, then why are they leaving? Why did they not choose a middle school? Those are the questions that we need to ask. We specifically built something for them, and they're not taking it. And everyone seemed to know that that was a turbulent year. So I'm looking at the discipline, this one, Rob, I don't know what that number is, the discipline referrals by month. It's page 28 on the, in the booklet. And we've got all those schools mixed in, and I'm really just interested in the junior high, the 7th and 8th grades. I mean, that's a lot. October 25, Pleasant Hill Middle School had 326 referrals. It's a lot. It makes me want to look like, what is that? And what supports are in that building to help those students? Are we removing them? Or are we actually helping to remediate? Are we actually doing something to help them?
So I'll say a referral doesn't necessarily mean you're getting suspended, right? A referral means, hey, this behavior happened. I need a counselor or an administrator to talk to the student.
Sure.
When you look at the consequences, you see that one of the top responses was parent contact. So we're contacting parents. I know Mr. Yates over at P Hill has been bringing parents in, having those conferences, getting to know those parents of the P Hill community. I've seen it firsthand, and they are definitely working. They're working on making sure that we have structures in place. That school needed more structures, and they're working on that. If you look at the discipline, please, if you look at, I think, page, early on, I'll find it for you. In your workbook, it tells you the discipline per month. On there, I'll find it for you.
Well, that was this one, right? Page 28?
Is it 28?
Yeah.
Okay, so it gives you per month, but there was a sheet just for middle schools as well. Actually, if you look right here on the screen, you can see at P Hill, October, they were at 447, and then November, 254. South Avondale has worked with our PSC team, and they have a reward system. So I'll tell you one thing that's great about having the middle school model is we can implement simple rewards, which if we would have done that at the high school, they would laugh at us. But we're able to do that at the middle school and not get laughed at, but it works. And students just want to be rewarded and just praised on the good behavior that they're doing. And we're able to do that. And we saw successes at South Avondale, and we're working on that at P Hill. But I will tell you that it's all boots on the ground. We're working with our PSC team. We're working with the social workers, and we're really trying to put solutions into place.
Okay, my only concern is just the lack of family engagement, diverse family engagement. I'm
Yes,
not
ma'am.
saying that we're not doing anything. I'm saying that there are too many people that don't know what we're doing.
I'll work with Ms. Jessica Sheila Green in communications and make sure we send more communications out on those events. But I will tell you, from what I'm seeing, it's not a checkbox. We're really doing it with fidelity, but we'll make sure that we get the word out even better.
Thanks. Vice President Bolton.
Yeah, thank you. Several things, actually. This is in part why, regardless of what school district you're in, this is one of the reasons administration doesn't like to be as transparent as this administration has just been with all these middle school data. Usually administration, I've been here forever, and the reality is, and I think some of us can count the number of times when we've asked for discipline information and not gotten it, or enrollment numbers and not gotten it. And so I think this is an act of courage to share the data that's been shared. And I think the more that I'm looking at it, the more I'm able to make some concerns. I think part of the confusion for me as a retired educator, long retired, I only had 2 years teaching 7th and 8th grade out of 36 years. I want to know if we still are having some sort of a juxtaposition about, are we doing this as junior high or are we doing this as middle school? Because it's just two very distinctly different approaches. And I know that there's been a commitment to do the middle school piece, but that might be part of the marketing problem too, very frankly. And it's more has been a reality of the practicality of getting this off the ground. The baseline, if that's what it is, or those tests, or the assessment, I guess I should say, in the fall, it is very discouraging. That's a reflection on their elementary experiences, I guess. But those are very low numbers to start with, and hopefully, like everybody says, hopefully winter will look better. On the enrollment piece, I honestly think we are in competition with some charters that are paying for kids to go on bus and not take Metro, especially on the west side. It's my understanding, I've heard this from my neighbors, their grandkids, well, no, we don't have to get on Metro because we have yellow bus literally pick us up at the door and take us to, I forget which charter school it is. But so we're in that competition, but that's still 20% off the enrollment when, Jeremy and the people that preceded him, like Jen Wagner, are usually within less than, 2% difference of what they predict and what happens. I think the 20% isn't worrying me as much as I think it should. The other one, real quick, and this is, I think it's important. I look at this as the beginning of the budget for next year, because you've got per student cost in here, per building. You've got in here at least a thumbnail sketch from Burkhart about some of the facilities things that need to happen. And so I think this is invaluable. I will say, last thing, schools don't name themselves. Boards name schools. So however, how you're doing that engagement, be aware of that. Schools don't, they can choose if they want to have a porcupine as their mascot, but school boards name schools. So as we're doing that engagement, I would send out this, some messaging, because I don't want people to come in, they've already done everything, they've chosen their colors, they got the porcupine, and then we are going to be school number 48, and we get to say, no, actually you're not. Don't put the board in that position. The thing I would worry about in the naming is, I hope that we keep Ethel Taylor name. I hope we keep Pleasant Hill name. They have some history to them. I think for marketing and for celebrating our history, the schools that have the neighborhood as part of it is part of the marketing problem. And I think we need to think about that. Now, I think we should say all of our schools, School B is at Avondale or in Clifton, or I think all of our things should reflect the neighborhoods, but if we're trying to have a middle school concept, we have to kind of move away from the neighborhood piece. So I think that leaves us with 4 names that we might have to think about. And I think we also have to come to grips with, are you calling something a junior high or are we calling it a middle school? That would help the marketing for both. Thank you. And I'll just say this, I appreciate the courage of sharing all this information with this crowd, especially sharing it with me, because, I'm dangerous. Appreciate it.
I will add, when Jessica and I, we've been out in the community doing the engagement piece, it's just feedback on the names, so we're not saying that they're voting. It's just they're giving us feedback.
Okay, good.
That's been
About the
very clear.
porcupines,
Yep.
not about the name of the school.
Yes, ma'am.
She said porcupines. Wow. Board Member Mapp.
Just to Board Member Bolton's point about the naming of the schools, I do know we've added that component within the policy around the student feedback. And
Oh,
student
yes,
feedback. So,
absolutely.
yeah, so.
I voted for that
Yeah.
and pointed to that. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But guess
so,
what? Yeah.
So just making sure that we have, representation amongst all of our
absolutely.
Constituents within the district. But just transitioning, I did want to ask a question as it relates to the discipline within the middle schools. I'm curious to know, I don't know if this is a significant number or not, but is there any data that reflects like true grade level for our students? I do know that we have some learners that are in the middle school, cohort, but may ideally be what, in terms of developmentally high school level. Is that impacting discipline? And so I'm just curious to know if there's any data around that.
Let's make sure I hear you correctly. So students that should be by age in high school that may be having discipline issues in the middle schools?
So they are developmentally high school level, but they may have been retained or whatever the case may have been, and so they're still within our middle school structure. Is that adding to the discipline rates that we're seeing?
Let me check.
Yeah.
Let me check and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Mr. Badger. It looks like we're done with questions. Congratulations to you to survive.
No
I
problem.
lost a little hair, got a little extra gray in there, but you did a great job.
Thank you.
Superintendent Murphy, please introduce oh no, wait a minute. Treasurer Guston, please introduce our next topic.
Yeah, this one's mine. Thank you, Dr. Moffett. I'm going to get the reputation of being Mr. Good News, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you. So tonight's presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about property tax reform legislation. Since the last time we did an update on this, our General Assembly has been quite busy. So I thought it was a good time to come back with an update. If you go to the next slide, Rob, this is the Why It Matters slide. So just remind everyone, the majority of our revenue comes from property taxes. And I'll say that again, the majority of our revenue comes from property taxes. If you look at our October 6th budget and 3-year forecast, the famous donut there, it's about 58%. Honestly, I think it's closer to 70%. Under state sources, state share of local tax is actually the rollback, homestead rollback. And that's based on our property values and tax rates. Under all other revenue, oh, Rob's getting fancy here. Under all other revenue, a big chunk of that is CRA and TIF revenues, which are also based on our property taxes. So say about 70% of our total revenue is somehow based on our local property taxes. So it's a huge deal for any change that's made to the system. If you go to the next slide, Rob. This is our list of current levies. If you're a paper person, you might want to pull this page out and keep it off to the side. And we'll be referring back to this as we go through, so we can see what the proposed legislation, how it will affect all these current levies. Maybe we can have a little conversation as well about potential future levies and how those things will be impacted. Next slide, please. So there's 4 bills we're going to cover tonight: House Bill 129, House Bill 309, House Bill 186, and House Bill 335. This is a quick summary, but I'll go into a little more detail on future slides. Next, please. Just a reminder of how we got here. So If you remember back in the spring, as we were working through our budget, the state was also working through their budget. That was called House Bill 96. A lot of these reform items were added to that budget. So state budgets contain not only monetary allocations, but they can also contain policy changes. So a lot of those things ended up in the budget that was approved by the General Assembly. Governor DeWine vetoed most of those as part of his line item veto thing. That was right the first day of July. From there, things went in two directions. The governor appointed a Property Tax Reform Commission. That included former CPS board member, former Senator Seitz, as well as our own county commissioner, Driehaus. And they came out with a series of recommendations. At the same time, the House started down the path of overriding some of the governor's vetoes, and they did one successfully. Come now, both of those things have come back. So the House and Senate retook up some of the recommendations from the Property Tax Reform Commission, as well as some of the vetoes, and that's how we got the 4 bills that have now passed the House and the Senate. By a weird quirk, they haven't been sent to the governor quite yet, at least as of Friday. We assume that'll happen any day now. And then the governor has 10 days to either sign or veto those bills. If he does nothing within that time period, they become law. So kind of waiting for the shoe to drop officially on these, but I don't think anyone anticipates a change to what was passed. And then this slide I just had to put in here. So this is year-over-year change in property values statewide, going back all the way to the early 80s till now. And you don't have to be a data scientist to see that the average is between about 5 and 10%. You can see the Great Recession there. We had some negative value increases. And that point all the way over there to the top right. That was the 2023 assessment. This is what all of these bills are based on. This was the change that has now triggered what some people would call a revolt by property taxpayers, but this has triggered all of the things from the potential ballot initiative to all the bills here. But just so everyone knows, they're basing all of this work on one data point. That is the outlier to all the historical trends. And I think that'll become important too as we go through this. Next, please. House Bill 129. So this is going to apply to, if you're looking at this piece of paper, this will apply to the bottom 3, the emergency levies. So good news and bad news here. The legislature had eliminated emergency levies altogether, which would have been a huge hit to us. It's 3 of our largest levies. This new law gives us the ability to have fixed sum levies as a kind of a replacement option. So that will allow us to continue with the fixed sum type of levy into the future. There are some restrictions. We can only renew for 5 years. We just renewed the last one for 10 in November, so that'll cut it down. Another big thing for folks is it preserves the rollbacks. So if your original tax levy was old enough to receive the rollback, so that would be before 2013, the fixed sum legislation will also receive the rollbacks. So that's big for a lot of taxpayers. Bad news is these things will start to count against the 20 mil floor. And that is a new thing for us. We have just hit the 20 mil floor, and when you add all these levies in, we'll be back above the 20 mil floor. Next, please. So House Bill 309 is the county budget commissions. I'm not sure how many people know there is such a thing as a county budget commission. And it's the county auditor, the treasurer, and the prosecutor. What is different from this, now, what is new, I should say, is that the county budget commissions can reduce any voter-approved levy except for a debt levy if they feel that the amount being raised is unnecessary or excessive. There's no legal definition of unnecessary or excessive, and so county budget commissions have great leeway in what they can do. The only, I guess, 2 caveats is they have to have a public hearing, and you cannot reduce a levy in the first year of collection. So you can't counteract what the taxpayers have owed in the first year but you could in the second year decide to reduce a voted levy. So Rob, I'm going to ask for a little magic here. We did have on last Wednesday Money Matters with Mike, and we were lucky enough to have County Auditor Jessica Miranda. And we asked her for her opinion on this legislation. So we'll just let that play.
Municipalities and special districts, because there's a couple different pockets of our community, for those who don't know, that have special taxing districts. Like Anderson Township has their own parks district. That's a special taxing district outside of the great parks of Hamilton County. My office prepares the tax revenue estimates for all the levies that they need or want to put on the ballot, and then that is presented to the Budget Commission, and the commission verifies that all tax levies are properly authorized and allocated to these local governments. So in other words, what a local government turns into us as a resolution in the form of a levy, we make sure that the dollars and cents match up, and you're getting from your taxing district what that levy calls for. Where this gets tricky, and in my humble opinion, undemocratic, is House Bill 309 now gives sweeping authority to the 3 members of the Budget Commission to take it to the extreme and adjust the rates of already voted upon levies. So yes, that means voters could choose to pass a levy just to have the County Budget Commission later reduce the revenue it collects, which is wild, if I could just use a very, very general term. That is something that I honestly did not think I was going to see or hear ever. It's ironic and a little bit terrifying to think that voters could make a decision and then a body of 3 elected officials could just completely change it and alter it entirely, which throws your budget now into chaos, because now how are you going to make up for what that may or may not take away from you and figure out that deficit when you worked that hard to get the levy passed? And oh, by the way, passing levies takes campaign apparatus.
Thank you, Rob. I think that's enough on that. I do think we have a real advocate in County Auditor Miranda, and I think she understands very well, the pressures that school districts face, how things work, and I think she's been a huge supporter of what we're doing here. So I do want to thank her. Rob, if you'll go on to House Bill 186, this is where the good news gets even worse, I guess. This is what's called the GDP deflator. So the idea is that for school districts that are on the 20 mil floor, there'll be a new cap so that anytime there's a property tax reappraisal, normally school districts would get some additional revenue because they're at the floor. They will now be limited to only getting what would match the rate of inflation during the same period. So reappraisals are done every 3 years. This will definitely take money away from school districts, for sure. It is retroactively applied in the current language, which is really, really wild, retroactively applied back to 2023. In order to get around, I think, some legal issues, they put in a backfill for schools to make sure schools do get revenue, but they're doing that by canceling the 2026 sales tax holiday. So if you're planning ahead, to do your back to school shopping, don't count on having the sales tax holiday in 2026. And we'll probably be blamed for that. The other thing, the double loss, is they do not update the school funding formula. So even though we get less tax revenue being on the floor because they've deflated the increase, the Fair School Funding Plan will still be set up like we could collect all that money. So it is a double hit. One of the nice things in the bill, I will say, is they changed the rollback structure. So owner-occupied tax credits will go up over the next 4 years. So that will help people who live in their properties, owner-occupied properties. But otherwise, this will be a big hit for us. And if you go to the next slide, Rob, House Bill 335 does the same thing for inside millage. So inside millage is on the top line, bless you, is on the top line of the current levies. We get 4.19 mils of inside millage. This as well would increase with reappraisals because it's inside, it's not voted. This will also be capped to the GDP deflator. So that's another spot where we would not see new revenue we traditionally see. This one doesn't just impact school districts. This will impact every county, city, and township as well in the state. So overall, I think the one good piece of news is the ability to keep fixed sum levies as a funding tool. And there was a time we thought that was lost to us. And I know we've used that really successfully with the levy we just renewed. That includes money for preschool expansion, the $48 million. Property taxes, I've said this before, are a self-leveling system, right? So as property values go up, rates go down. They've made the system even more self-leveling than before. The state funding formula is more unbalanced than before, so that's a problem. And then finally, just some legislative estimates, and these are very preliminary, but this is what the Legislative Service Commission came up with as part of the bill. You know, they're oftentimes charged with doing this for the legislature. How much will this bill cost? What will the impacts be? Looking at about $9 million loss in fiscal year 27 and about an $18 million loss in fiscal year 28. I will say all of that is highly speculative. So part of these changes are, one, will be above the 20 mil floor for the first time in a while. And then the 20 mil floor changes and the inside millage changes are based on the next reappraisal. But you also have to know, so you have to have some crystal ball to know what property tax values will look like in the next reappraisal, and also know what inflation will be all the years during that period. So it may be that they track together. To go back to that slide of the increase in values, you noticed that we are looking at one outlier point. You may see them track back together. So that may be good, or you may see them continue to track apart. I just can't tell at this point. And then if you'll go to the final slide, Rob, future considerations, why this matters for us. This is going to impact the type of levies that we'll put on the ballot in the future, especially renewals. You know, we can't renew emergencies anymore. We at least have to convert them to fix some. It talked about different types of new requests. The size of the levies for sure, you know, as we navigate this new 20 mil floor, as we have less of ability to count on any new money from reappraisals, and then probably the frequency of requests. You know, I've heard a lot of people, you know, at the state level, a lot of treasurers talk about being on the ballot more often. I think we've done a really good job of going, I think, 9 years now without asking for new money. One of the outputs of the system they're designing is that schools are going to be asking for new money a lot more frequently. And that is a design of the system, I believe. So just some next steps. Governor DeWine will at some point get these laws to veto or sign. I think once that happens, it'll actually help us. There are a lot of folks who work on the projection side of school funding, of the formula, of the stuff. Once these things are officially in law, we'll start to see this fed into our inputs. Specifically, I'm talking about the updated budget and 3-year forecast we do in February. You know, we have a lot of people help us with that. So once these things are officially law, you'll see that kind of spin up. And then also we have the tax budget hearing coming up on the 12th of January. And that is the first part of the stuff they talked about with House Bill 309. You know, we submit a tax budget every year. The Budget Commission approves it. Traditionally, this has not been a thing. You know, we submit it, it gets approved. You know, we don't put a lot of effort, don't put a lot of extra thought into it. We put a lot of effort and not a lot of extra thought. But as these laws change, you know, the Budget Commission does have the ability to ask a lot more questions and to take action. So I think at that point, that's it for the presentation. If there are questions.
Board members, Board Member Craig.
Thanks, Treasurer Gustin, for the presentation. I think there are a couple things that I maybe hope clarify, and then I kind of have a thought at the end of it. But one of them is with regards to House Bill 129, with regards to the fixed sum levies. That would be for any levy going forward or any current emergency levy. as far as who, like, does it apply to any current emergency levy, or does it apply to only renewals and future requests for, that would, I guess at that point would be a fixed sum levy?
Yeah, so our existing emergency levies will start to count against a 20 mil floor, starting next tax year. When those levies come up at the end of their life cycle, then we have the option to renew them into fixed sum levies. And then we have the ability to put at any point a new money fixed sum levy on as well, for a maximum of 5 years.
And I think one of the things that this is also makes even more difficult and more challenging is they changed the cycle in which we do our forecasting as well. So now we're actually doing forecasting in a period of time in which we're not certain what will likely come down the pipe or what likely will be our funding source. We talked about this at Budget and Finance when they made the change initially, but it's basically always going to be now an estimate of where we are based on all the information we have at that time, as opposed to an actual reflection of either what we spent or what we are kind of sure about will be our ability to spend. So I think, adding that in doesn't make us plan any better or provide any clear information to the state with regards to where we are as far as our balance. But I think the one other thing I will say, and then I will turn it over to anyone else who wants to talk, but I think this all goes back to, as we look at opportunities and we look at the challenges that we see in our district and our strategic plan, which I think is probably our next topic today, we do have to recognize we may be operating with less. And not a little bit less, but a substantial amount less. And I think a lot of districts are going to be operating with less. And unfortunately, there are not ways to make those things up through general revenue outside of levies, right? So you're going to see some districts around us even. We talked about this a little bit. Some of the rural districts, some of the suburban districts who are really struggling anyway, who can't make up a $5 million cut to their budget. And what does that mean for where those students end up? And so that's one thing I do worry about in some ways. Are we going to see some areas around us, some of these school districts who are struggling anyway, or who can't pass a levy in the present climate, start to get to this point where they are no longer able to be sustainable? And I think, we took in some charter schools students, we took in some other students last year towards the end of the year. I don't know if we can take in a whole district in the middle of the year. Like, that's not something that's realistically feasible. So I think it'd be helpful for us to also be thinking about those relationships with our districts around us who are possibly struggling, who are not traditionally the urban district, to talk to their struggles as well.
Yeah, I would just say, folks in my seat across the state are worried, concerned. I meet with different groups of treasurers, and everyone's concerned about the same things.
Vice President Bolton?
Oh, go to Jim.
Okay. Wilbur Grosset?
Quick question. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for keeping up on all these details it's a lot of moving parts. Thank you. Overall impact, $18 million loss for tax year 26. Is that our fiscal year?
No, because that would make too much sense.
Okay.
So tax years are based on calendar years.
So will that affect us in the second half of our fiscal year?
Yeah, so
Did we anticipate that in the budget?
that will hit us next fiscal year.
Next fiscal year,
Yeah, so
okay.
tax years are also always in arrears. So you're always in arrears a year.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah,
Vice President Bolton?
yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about this and the financial impacts of all of this with whatever information we have at the next board finance meeting. And we usually have a long agenda, but we're going to limit the length of the agenda. You heard it here first. So we can have a lengthy discussion. We really invite people, board members and administration and the public to kind of tune in to that discussion because we are going to be asking money of the taxpayers in the very future. How near that is, we don't know, based upon what information we have now or anticipate. But I really appreciate the treasurer and superintendent working through this and getting a head start on some of this budget stuff. But we're waiting for Columbus.
Well, thank you. I do think that we probably will have to ask for new money, but I also think we need to be educating the community much more than what we're doing right now on what's coming down the pike, what the state is doing to us, and where we stand. We need to have a lay term about this millage because people don't quite understand it. And it would behoove us to act expeditiously, but also with intention that the community needs to know. So thank you so much for this presentation. I agree with you. We're at, okay, so our next topics for discussion will include board matters, inquiries, and updates and assignments. So what we have here are the assignments that we've asked for. My thinking is we ask for them in public, and some board members say we don't get them. Some board members don't see the answers. So we ask for it in public. The public wants to know the answer. Let's get the answer. So this is not a presentation. I told Superintendent Murphy, this is not for a presentation, but these are topics that were on the previous board meeting for November 19th and November 24th by board members. And so the superintendent has just gone through and she has a visual if she needs it, but she's just got the answer to the assignment. The answer is also in her weekly update with the link that says assignments. So you have it in two places. She's going to give you the answer here so the public can hear it. And then if she's also answered it in her weekly update, the link is in your email. So we'll remember, Craig, yours was the first topic around university partnerships and potential partners.
Yep. And I appreciate you sharing the different ways our universities are partnering with our students. I know there was, at least at some point, there was also some partnership with, I think, the School of Pharmacy at UC to partner with Hughes. I don't think they do it anymore, so that might be why it's no longer.
Okay.
I know there's been a few different programs at UC with even the staff that have tried to partner with some of our local schools, but I think the only thing I would maybe add is just looking at ways to utilize the research work that students are doing to drive us and how we get some of our goals, but I appreciate you sharing that information.
Do any other board members have questions around that topic? Okay, board members Craig and Mab, you had topics around career tech education pathways, college to career.
Again, I think you appreciate you sharing the information. And again, I think this is a great example of one part of the goals we set for you for this school year, but an opportunity to explore partnership to achieve some of those things. So I think you referenced the relationship with Cincinnati State to build the automotive pathway. I guess maybe the only question I would have, is there other opportunities that you are exploring outside of kind of the career cluster model we talked last board meeting, we talked a little bit about the that there's a limited number of things that you guys had started exploring as to what could be career tech.
Yes. So what I also would love to share with you is these alternative explorations. Even though we believe that we need additional dollars to move forward with the way we want to with the automotive and the cosmetology, we have gotten those approvals from the state. And so we're looking at talking with Cincinnati State and others about what are some additional ways that we could do this without building out a full lab. So finding ways to partner in order to do that. So we're feeling really, really good about making sure that that happens. I think it was the last board meeting, and there was, I think Dr. Moffitt shared that there were students at Schroeder who asked about having phlebotomy.
Yeah.
And so we did have conversation about how to to do that because we have several teachers who are able, licensed, certified to be able to deliver that. So we're continuing down that pathway. And so some of the pieces that we're doing are expansions on what we already have in place, but at the same time, we are looking at how to grow. So entrepreneurship, we started this year at Woodward. It's doing really well. The kids are very excited. Mr. Crossett was able to visit there, and I don't know if anyone else had an opportunity to, but we talked about how we can expand that to district-wide, sort of like what we have done with the Zoo Academy, but quite frankly, it's been so popular. We'll see where that goes. And so super excited about those things. I know Taft Information Technology is very much interested in the athletic trainer work. We know that there is a pathway need for us. And so the last thing I would tell you is Friday, myself, Mr. Turner, Assistant Superintendent Randolph visited Butler Tech. It was a very exciting visit, very cool visit. And then it just got us thinking about other ways to do things, whether we have a teacher available, or we even talked about some of the credentials that are available to learners, that maybe it's a way to also expand what we offer in adult education if we don't have the students to do some of the pieces that are available in Ohio. So more to come. We're super excited. We're on it. We're working really, really hard at what this can look like for CPS.
Just the one other thought I would also share is maybe partnering, especially for entrepreneurship, with places like the Urban League has a whole program for entrepreneurs, as well as like Mortar and some of the different incubators in the community that would foster the student post high school and that idea of whatever they wanted to pursue.
Board Member Mapp, it was also your topic.
So, yeah, just thanking you for the follow-up. Didn't have much to add, just wanted to hone in that I know we were talking about not only the partnership with the local colleges and universities, but also those different partnerships, like corporate partnerships or, different businesses that could help support our students and how they may all be able to work together to help with that pathway. So just thank you for providing this follow-up. Can you share a little bit about, excuse me, the work-based learning with FitNext for this partnership with TAF?
So FitNext, I'm not going to do this well. I may have to follow up on that one, but I do think it's an opportunity for students to go to FitNext to be able to get exposure, shadow opportunities, and see the work actually in action. We are having conversations, of course, I think that you know and you'll recall, with our foundation of how we can bring back work-based learning opportunities by having individuals who are going out to businesses to connect the kids through shadow opportunities, through group tours, and through internships, hopefully paid internships. So that's ongoing conversation as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any board member questions? Okay, Board Vice President Bolton, please present your topic around the Coast Guard.
Yes. As some folks know, I've been asking about this a number of years, and I know that they've worked on it, and the possibility of having a military branch, and not just the Army as we have now, but also Coast Guard. And I know that we have people that have been working on it, but we haven't been able to have this come to fruition. And my understanding now from the university people, and at least a couple of the Coast Guard folks, and the superintendent can correct me if I'm wrong, one of the reasons that they've had trouble with this, and the idea was to have it at Sailor Park, one of the ideas is that there's too few kids. So I was wondering if, since this Coast Guard piece is so important because of the river and because of where we're located in the state, whether it's the Great Lakes or what have you, I mean, this is important. There's also a direct connection with the University of Cincinnati if you go through the Coast Guard program. So I'm wondering if it's possible for us to have it be an association of our schools for the Coast Guard, not just limiting it to Sailor Park. I don't know about the logistics. I wanted to ask the superintendent about that. I'm very, very excited about this Coast Guard thing. And the superintendent was the person that, in the previous administration, the superintendent, current superintendent got us the Army connection. And I think that people were very interested in doing this. Is that a possibility logistically?
Yes, absolutely, and that's exactly what we've done. So we've pitched it using Western Hills High School because of their numbers, but we believe that Sailor Park kids who are interested in participating would still be able to participate, as would Dater and almost any West Side High School, if that's their interest. So yes, that's exactly what we've pitched. We did the application, the updated application, July the 8th. We're supposed to have a decision December or early January.
Is there anybody we can call to comment on, or somebody, does somebody know somebody?
If anybody knows anybody, I'm open to making a phone call.
We do have a Sailor Park connection, but, and I know we've used that, and it's great. So I would also suggest even Euler from a standpoint of whatever, however numbers we need.
Yes. You mentioned the Army Junior ROTC. We did start with one instructor there, and it has spread to two on that campus, so we're really happy about that. We are very much interested in other forms of military. I am in particular interested in Air Force and the world of aviation, not only because of CVG, but Lunkin and Wright Pat just makes complete sense to me. So we'll keep expanding.
Thank you.
And working on how we can expand. And the other piece is, there are so many benefits to the junior ROTC program. I think for the instructor at Aiken, I think we pay $50,000 or so. But, and it comes with the materials, the supplies, the uniforms, the opportunities for college and career. And so excited to be able to work through an expansion.
Sounds great. I heard something, Superintendent Murphy, you and your team can confirm. Someone shared with me that nationally, the numbers of eligible students who pass the ASVAB is down. Nationally, not, locally.
Can't confirm
And
that, I'm
so,
not sure.
They were sharing that there are not a lot of students going into the military because of the inability to successful. I didn't know you passed the ASVAB. I thought you got in and that just told you where to go. So maybe, I just wanted to offer that, like maybe that would we prepare our students to pass the ASVAB?
So we used to give the ASVAB many moons ago, and so I think it's done more independently now through the recruiters and through the branches of the military. I don't know that data, though.
Does our ROTC program include help with the ASVAB?
They definitely want to enlist young people, so yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, we have Board Member Lindy. Your topic was on the PBIS plan exemplars.
Yes, I had a question from a constituent that I didn't know the answer to, which is if somebody wants to find an exemplar PBIS plan from a CPS school to learn from, what's the best way to do that? I think it could be helpful to have examples at multiple grade bands, like an elementary exemplar, a middle school exemplar, a high school exemplar, and I just wanted to point them in the right direction.
And so you'll see some in the presentation today linked from a variety of schools, as you just mentioned, including elementary, high school, quote-unquote neighborhood, not so much, even Rising Stars.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any questions around that? Board Member Mapp, your topic was specialized units.
So yes, I just wanted to receive an update about how we were progressing with adding additional units, knowing that there was a need. And so I thank you for sharing that there will be additional classrooms that's opening up on January 6th. Can you speak to how this will help to provide some relief and maybe how many additional students will still be on the waiting list, if any?
Absolutely, and I will invite the deputy if she would like to share, but this is something we have been working on all school year, and I even started the conversation last school year because we do know that there is definitely a need, and we have more and more young people who are being identified even at the preschool level. So this will open up programming at multiple schools across our district, from the west side to the east side, and then we're working on 2 additional classrooms that we are not sure where there will be, but we do know that there is room. The team has worked very hard to adjust some staffing so that we don't go over budget with the treasurer. And I don't know, Dr. Smith, if you want to add anything else to that.
Just at the 2 spots that we're looking at, we're just trying to make sure we have space in the building. And of course, you know, our greatest number is on the west side because that's where we have the most students. But there is no waiting list. The kids are in spaces that they should be. So we explained the LRE and what's going on there. But we are doing our best to make sure we service all of our young people. And we're excited about those new classrooms. And the teachers are too.
Okay, perfect. I was going to inquire about the teacher's response.
Yes.
And the level of supports that's needed.
They'll get support.
Okay.
They'll have support. In many other spaces, it was where we had less children there, so we were able to use the intervention specialists in a different way.
Okay, thank you.
You want to stay there for ramps?
Yeah.
We're going to stay on with board member MAP, and your topic was the RIMP follow-up. right?
Yeah, so the RIP plan, I noticed the data that was in the, as a follow-up. This doesn't specifically answer what I inquired about, but I do know that that information, I believe, is going to be forthcoming about how many students are matriculating out of the rent plans. And so I know this was from the last
Yeah,
presentation, but being able to track that
It's
data.
forthcoming. We have to desegregate it, and then some of the data won't happen until the spring because the kids get off the rent based on what they do on a proficiency test. But we will get you that data by school, so that that you know it, and we are hopeful that the numbers will go down by grade level.
Thank you.
So I'm going to just skip, because Dr. Smith, you're still there, just board member Lindy's topic. I know you had to give an update around the curriculum usage percentage.
I wanted to clarify to board member Lindy that this was.
You got, in the same meeting, you got back to me on it. So I'm in good shape, but thank you.
Yes, so that it was only elementary schools, and I wanted to clarify that Emily did not make a mistake, because I was like, Emily, wait a minute, maybe Emily made a mistake. When you said that number, it threw me way off. But these are our elementary schools, and we're excited to see that they are growing in use of the curriculum.
That's great. Thank you so much.
And then lastly, you can go now. Thank you. Lastly, board member Craig, your topic was on the staffing data update.
Yep, so I just appreciate you sharing the list of current vacancies. I think it's important for us to also recognize that we have a lot of positions in different levels in different parts of our district that are still waiting to be filled. I think also as we go into future planning years, not this year's budget, but future year's budget, also re-examining kind of the likelihood of us filling certain positions and whether or not there needs to be like a reexamination of whether that position or a different position may be more useful to fill. Because I think if there are ones that we have routinely every year not filled, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to budget for them continuing that. If we can find a different position that makes more sense for our needs of the district, or something's really hard to fill, what are the alternative efforts we're doing to try and provide that? And we talked a little bit actually about this in budget and finance, this idea of, are there alternative ways to do certain things or provide certain services that may not be a full FTE? So like, are there ways for us to use resources that may be able to provide part-time on certain services, or be able to provide things outside? Because like, for instance, we use some services that we even contract out, and maybe the contracting out of a person is not as good an idea as the contracting out of the services, so that multiple people might be able to provide those services as opposed to just like one dedicated person. But I appreciate you sharing this information, and I look forward to more of the discussion as we keep moving forward.
All right. So board members, just really quickly, did you you can tell me later. Did you like that process of having your assignments in the meeting, or would you prefer to not have them in the meeting? Just send me an email later on. Our next series of topics for discussion are from the November 24th Policy and Equity Committee meeting. Board Vice President Bolton, please present items number 1 and 2.
I believe that's the
General Counsel evaluation, yes.
evaluation, and then also
The bylaws.
we need to go to the bylaws.
Yes.
And that went back to the policy committee, went back, but I think we assigned it to the policy
Yes.
committee.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Thank you.
We talked about both of these, I think, at the last meeting, and we haven't had a policy committee meeting since
Since.
then. So we have a guest coming on Friday, this Friday, next Friday? This Friday. Whenever our next policy meeting is, this Friday. Great. I got the 12th on my calendar.
Oh.
So we have, it's all going to be great. We have a plan on reviewing a draft general counsel policy. And I think I wasn't totally sure, and I think I shared this in the last meeting, what specifically within the bylaws Member Bolton was looking for. And so I invited her to join us at the meeting on Friday.
You invited me to attend if I wanted to, the committee meeting. I said that I would think about that, and I'll send you a memo as well. And it might be something we save for when we get ready to reconvene on January 12th at the organizational meeting. So, but I will send some specifics and I will try to attend.
Great. Just please know we have space for it. We're happy to talk about it. I want to make sure that what we're talking about is the right thing.
Absolutely.
So any of those things feel okay to me. Good to be with my colleagues.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're at the point for year-end reflections. Do any board members?
Just wanted to inquire, 6A for the strategic planning, were we not discussing that or tabling that?
You know what? I'm looking at my cheat sheet notes here. Ms. Phyllis, it ain't on my cheat sheet note. So, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm sorry, did I skip? It's not on my, my list, but let's talk about the strategic plan. I believe Board Member Bolton wanted to lead that discussion.
And I'll lead it as quickly as I can. We did set that we are going to have a strategic plan by the end of this school year. By June, it became part of the superintendent's evaluation, if I recall. And I know that there's been some companies that have been interested in it, and I know there's been some activity in the community about it. And I didn't know if the administration had something to report in. I know when we were in our retreat, we wanted to, I think it was Mr. Lindy that said, you can't circumvent too many of these things, so you can't jump over it or forget about doing some good stuff, especially the engagement. But the 6 months is tough, and wanted to know if the administration has an update for us regarding the strategic plan, which is so critical to not only our fiscal year budget for '27, but our next 3 years for the forecast. And then also in the midst of all of that, the great transitions we've been going through, but finally, maybe having to go to the public to make a request for new money. So I didn't know if this superintendent would be able to update that. I appreciate you seeing that on the list.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So the treasurer and I and other members of senior leadership team have been working really hard on this. We're all very excited to do this work. So we did get together and launched an RFP with Mr. Burkhardt and his team. You can come on up if you like. And so in the midst of launching that RFP, I believe, got about 24 proposals that we read, reviewed, scored, and then finalized 3 that we wanted to have further conversation with. And so we did that. And in the midst of the conversation around the 3, we had the Greater Cincinnati Foundation also let us know that they were interested in supporting us in this work. And support, I mean financial support. So you may recall, you've approved about $50,000 to do this incredible work, but Greater Cincinnati Foundation has come in and offered us $250,000 to do the work. And so what we decided to do as a team, after listening to the pitch from the 3 previous finalists, is to, on Friday, we opened back up the RFP, made some adjustments. I'll let Mr. Burkhart take it from there, so I don't tell the whole story.
Yeah, so since there, last past Friday, we opened up a new RFP. We closed the old one out without award. That new one will close on the 19th. So we have roughly, I have it written down, 10 days, 13 hours, and a couple of minutes left if you are within earshot of my voice. That's how long you have to get it in. We currently send it out to 432 different companies to weigh in on that $250,000 price tag. And what this is going to do for us compared to the previous one is really looking at more engagement sessions, specifically looking at LSDMCs and being able to capture as many of those voices as possible. Also more employee engagement within that, as well as really drilling down to underrepresented groups. And those would be single mothers and fathers, those maybe non-citizens, employees such as paraprofessionals and custodians, looking for those folks who don't normally respond to surveys or have time to come in for a in-person or virtual session, making sure we hear those voices within that process. And we also did something a little bit different this time, and we are asking for a 10-minute video pitch on how they plan to make sure that they are engaging as many people within Cincinnati as possible to get the word out on this. So we are really excited. We hope on the 23rd, when we start to review these, that there will be so many great submissions, it will be a tough way to judge.
So we had previously mentioned to you, Board, that we were going to have a name for you today, but we have good trouble, and now the plan is your January 12th meeting.
Great. Board member questions? Board member Matt?
Thank you for the update. Just wanted to call out, I know we haven't really talked about it previously, but sound like heard some consensus around it or some ideas about it today. Attached to the strategic plan or that financial component, if there could be a marketing campaign or some type of marketing push to help with that enrollment piece, as we talked about the revenue and the challenges that we may be experiencing with that, if we could align that with the financial portion of the strategic plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, where are we? Okay. Year-end reflections. Did anyone have any year-end reflections? That's it? All right, a proposed consent agenda has been distributed. I know 2 people who have exceptions. Wow. Do board members, the superintendent, or the treasurer have any exception items to the consent agenda?
Look at this year-end reflection. I only have 1 abstention.
See, I didn't even say that. See?
So it's from the treasurer's report.
Okay.
It's page 11, and it's line item 4. And that's it.
We need to memorialize the moment. I tell you guys. We are cooking with grease. All right. Anything else? Treasurer Augustine? Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I need a motion and.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all right.
Who's the second?
Mary was the second.
No, she was so moved.
Okay.
No,
I didn't even get it out.
Mrs.
That's why I'm so
Weinberg was on
confused.
it with the motion. She was on.
I second.
Okay. I just heard 2 people.
She was on it with
ready to get
her
out of
last
here.
chance to motion. She knocked it out.
All righty, Mr. Augustine.
All right, Mr. Craig.
Yes.
Mr. Crossett?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Mapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Weinberg?
Yes.
Vice President Bolton?
Yes.
President Moffett?
Yes. Are there any assignments? Because we didn't do any assignments. Does anyone have any assignments for the January 12th meeting?
I have an assignment that Mrs. Weinberg should have to come back to the January 12th meeting.
Maybe.
I'm sure we were going to hear from Mary.
Rejected.
Ask a question. Can you ask this question? I'm just going to call the superintendent myself. Anything else? Any other assignments? So let me get it out first before you guys move. The chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have one more meeting, which is the COW, on the 17th.
And Ms. Weinberg has to be there.
Yes, she will
there is
be
a
there.
policy meeting.
And to policy, yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Have